Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers!
Blue Dragon 5 here, as well as my colleague
Tiki.
So the reason we're here today, folks, we're here to talk about a new development, a recent Netflix series that DreamWorks has put forward. It's called Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, and I tell you, I'm amazed that we're doing that. They're doing a series based on that very memorable DreamWorks movie. I remember watching the trailer to it way back when, thinking, we really need a series of that done, kind of some rudimentary CG. I mean, we really could really use that, don't you think, Tiki?
Fuck it, let's just talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2!
Yeah!
Galaga!
Adorable baby Groot!
Themes of family!
More songs!
I clap for the consistency!
Space batteries!
Teaser face!
No, seriously, what's his name?
Sisterly bonding and character growth!
Fan service! Yondu got a fin, just like in the comic!
Yondu dies!
Ego's the bad guy. So much for Father's Day. Oh well.
Goldfinger!
Tiki, actually, they're called the Sovereign.
Balls of light!
Adam Warlock! Adam Warlock! Adam Warlock!
Stanley's a watcher!
Thanos was an unfit parent.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
The original Guardians played by known actors like Cobra Bubbles and Sylvester Stallone!
I clap because Rocky!
Adam Warlock! Adam Warlock! Guess who it is? It's Adam Warlock!
Ego the Living Plant, played by Kurt Russell! He's Star-Lord's biological father! He got blown up by Baby Groot!
Baby Groot?
That's who planted the bomb that blows up Ego!
Zuna!
I have never been different!
Emotions!
I felt things!
Infinity War.
Nipples!
Post-credit galore!
Teenage Groot! Or Groot, the teenage years. Or my life as a teenage Groot. Because Groot grew up.
Death of a Walkman.
Did you clap at any of the pointless references to other Marvel movies that didn't really need to be there?
Were there any?
No!
I sure clapped when Yondu used his arrow.
Yondu used his arrow to take out like 1,000 Ravagers!
Oh my God! Lowercase g.
And welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points of filmmaking. Bam, put that one in the books, Dragon. Probably one of the best intros we've ever done. I think that went off swimmingly, all things considered. All right, folks, so we are here to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We are here to do a spoiler cast. We're going to dive right in. Dragon and I, Dragon, you've seen the movie twice. I have seen the movie 3 times, twice in 2D, so I can talk briefly about the 2D experience and what that's like. But anyways, Dragon, where do you want to dive in first? Do you want to go quickly into the backstory? Do you want to get into how we felt about it?
Well, I figure we'll get into our personal reactions, and then a little bit of backstory, then we'll just fire into the rest.
Got it. All right. Why don't you go first with your expectations going in and thoughts coming out?
Okay, so going into the movie, of course, looking forward to some more Guardians, as you can tell by a lot of the stuff Tegan and I have been talking about, especially with stuff like Christmas in July, or more notably Seasonal Shenanigans. I believe it was Seasonal Shenanigans where we had the Guardians pitch.
It was Seasonal Shenanigans, yeah.
Right, we had a Guardians pitch for Christmas, so we've been aching for some more Guardians. Of course, just Guardians has always been kind of this fun world outside the MCU that still helps build it at the same time. It's always been kind of this great kind of you can have your cake and eat it too segment of the MCU, which has always been kind kind of fun. It's kind of fun. It's out there. So I've been looking forward. Personally, I've been looking forward to more Star-Lord. Because Star-Lord's my favorite guy from the Guardians. And Chris Pratt, he's just so darn likable, and just again, the best thing about Star-Lord is that he's just kind of this cross between kind of Han Solo and Marty McFly. He's just kind of a great combo. Also a little bit Indiana Jones thrown just for good measure. So, and the big thing going into the movie, I was really wondering, because I pretty much steer away from spoilers, like I think kind of the astute viewers has tried to do. We kind of went into this one fundamentally blind, just like all we knew was Ego, the living planet, because that one's kind of an unavoidable spoiler, which James Gunn confirmed was not really a spoiler. I mean, other big stuff happened in the movie, so I guess he's telling the truth. I was just kind of really going and wondering, how the heck is Ego going to work? Like, how everyone when they announce, okay, we're going to do Star-Lord's father in the next movie, they're thinking Jason of Spartax. James Gunn says, "No, let's throw that out. I'm going to do something even better. He's going to be a living planet." You got to going into. You'd be foolish not to be curious. Like,
he's Star-Lord's biological father,
and he's a planet. Yeah, you got to wonder, how the heck are they going to pull that off? That his father's a planet. And
right.
and they managed to do so. So will of course the big question? I mean, will Peter going into the movie? Will Peter return to Earth by the end? Which is still kind of a question lingering in the air, let's say. And just the thing that's kind of fed my Guardians hunger has been the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series. That's kind of been sort of the filler in between. In between movies, they tried fitting a lot of stuff into based off the movie, so connect to the movie loosely. Now it's kind of thrown out the window, but it was at least Marvel making an attempt in animation.
Mm-hmm.
That's just that's kind of been my. I wanted this hype and it's it's going to feed my Guardians hunger, and I came out satisfied.
Yeah, okay. I was very much the same way, Dragon. The first movie is definitely the top of the pack for me in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is a very special movie for me. It came at a really memorable time in my life, and I have really fun personal memories with it and the soundtrack and whatnot. And so going in, I was kind of like, I was nervous but excited at the same time. You know what I mean? Because there's always that fear. Like, basically, the fear I had with this thing, that I wasn't really sure if it was going to be like how I was going to feel about it, like going out of it the first time, was I was kind of worried that this was going to be an Age of Ultron situation where, like, Age of Ultron is a fine movie. It has a lot of fun character bits and, it's got a good clip to it. It's got a lot of good jokes and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it just kind of feels a little strung together. And I got to say, that was kind of my initial reaction with Guardians Volume 2. Having said that, Dragon, I think this movie is fantastic on a rewatch, and it gets better and better each time I see it. And I gotta say, pondering it over after seeing it about 24 hours after seeing it a third time, this bold statement, but I don't care because it's my opinion and I can say whatever the hell I want. This might be my favorite movie in the MCU. I think this movie, while the original Guardians certainly set the foundation for this world and did so in a very, very good way, that plot was, I feel like the original Guardians plot, we can all agree, was a bit of a MacGuffin, the finding the Infinity Stone, and Ronan, while he had his moments, he wasn't really the best villain. Having said that, I feel like this movie's plot and the themes and the characters, as we'll dive into with the spoiler cast, mixed with a very, very compelling villain, I think probably right up there with Loki is one of the best villains of the MCU. I think this movie's fantastic. I think the end scene is one of the best endings I have ever seen to anything, really. It's chilling. I'm in love with this movie, Dragon. I've taken the investment to see it 3 times, to really study it, to really see how it holds up, and I was worried that going into it that third time it was going to drag. Okay, I've seen all these gags before, I know what to expect, but no, going into it a third time, I was like, I like this more than ever. This is awesome. Give me more, please. Now I want to go see it a 4th time. You know what I mean? So I have not felt that positive about a movie, about a mainstream superhero movie specifically, since the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So, Dragon, I'm going to leave this on a thesis statement of, I straight up think Guardians of the Galaxy is doing Star Wars better than Star Wars. I'm sorry, I said it. I think the series is incredible. This is my Star Wars. I love these films. Like I'm in love with this world. I'm in love with these characters. I'm in love with James Gunn's style, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. I'm glowing about this. So, all right.
Wow.
I kind of feel like this is a Disney debate, and you need to like have a retort to that.
That's a bold statement. I mean, you're entitled to it.
I've been thinking about how to word that like all day, like because I've been thinking about the movie a lot, Dragon. How I just seen it a third time and really loving it on that third time. You know what I mean? So
right. So you kind of covered your reaction, did you?
That was my reaction. Yes.
So you're supposed to kind of separate those, but okay. I just kind of, if I can get in my reaction just a little bit more then.
I guess, go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of messed up on the format there, but go ahead.
So just briefly.
You can talk about your reaction, and then you can also talk about your reaction to my reaction.
Maybe. So I had a really good time with it. It was funny. Definitely one of the funniest, if not the funniest. I mean, Ant-Man might hold a candle to in terms of humor. Very different in terms of there's more humor in the Guardians, even though there's great emotion. I'm not taking that away from it. I'm just saying if I really say which is the funniest MCU film, I don't know. Ant-Man might hold a candle to it, but this one might take the cake, though. It's hard to tell. Again, this movie at the same time, while it was really humorous, had great pathos and emotion to it. It felt like another Guardians adventure that didn't just kind of rehash or just kind of reiterate the first film. It felt more like a James Gunn film, and I've seen a couple James Gunn films, also a lot of James Gunn written films. But I've seen a movie called Super. Have you ever seen that, Tiki?
No, I haven't. I have seen Sliver, I think it is.
Well, I'm not saying like the Super is the same thing as Guardians. I'm just saying James Gunn has like certain kind of out there ideas that really kind of they translate, saying, okay, these are really kind of like someone's really.
Well, the interesting thing about Sliver for me is that I feel like it took on some of the same sort of like like Technicolor goo and creature designs and whatnot that we saw in Guardians. Like for example, the main giant, the big giant slug-like thing that the Guardians fight in the opening scene is aesthetically very similar to some of the main monsters in Slither, except on a bigger scale.
Well, I'm just saying that along with just some of the other stuff he's done, it's just it's fitting into this sort of like this guy is kind of dancing to the beat of a different drum. This guy he's a very creative guy.
And I love that the MCU is just like, and Kevin Feige and whatnot are willing to just be like, you know what? We're not going to let another Edgar Wright situation happen. This guy's got a vision for what he wants to do. We're going to give him the keys to the kingdom and just let him go nuts with it. Which,
short of technically the Russo brothers, James Gunn kind of is about to hold the record for the most consistent Marvel director.
Sure, and
because he's going to be doing a whole franchise by himself. Because usually no one ever makes it to three. Like John Favreau, he did make it to three. Again, the Russos, they kind of branched over different franchises. That doesn't count because they were on.
The Russos, I feel like it's kind of like a weird situation with the Russos because their films are more kind of like the bigger scale, like franchise juggling films, where they're kind of like working with a lot of moving parts. And maybe that's just why I personally prefer the Guardian movies so much more. Even though, granted, I'm not going to like say that Winter Soldier or Civil War are bad movies by any stretch of the imagination. I really like Civil War in particular. I like Winter Soldier as well. But I just think, Dragon, there's just a level of immersion and a level of just like, it doesn't matter about anything going on in the MCU. This is the Guardians of the Galaxy world. You know what I mean? Like, and it's that kind of like standalone freshness for me that really, really appeals to me in terms of this being a franchise that I just absolutely adore as a modern franchise. Am I making any sense?
No, yeah, you are. I mean, it's just in terms of me reacting to your reactions briefly. It seems to me you kind of have the Winter Soldier experience, but for Guardians.
I think so. Especially with that final scene.
Well, I was going to say, especially the kind of the gag, you're going gotta go over a sequel, and Captain Winter Soldier is a sequel to the original.
Right. And I don't know, I'm frankly a little surprised by the reaction to this. Like, I kind of get the criticism of, we'll talk about it more in the pros and cons, but I kind of get some of the criticisms for it, but at the same time, I just feel like this movie's so well put together, and each and every character is so well served. And like I said, Dragon, the rewatchability of this is just absolutely through the roof. Like, I want to go see it a fourth time.
And again,
You know
the
what I mean?
really impressive thing about it is like a 2.5 hour movie. So I mean, that's saying something if it's rewatchable.
And I'm glad you mentioned the long length, because actually, Dragon, I feel like this movie feels shorter the more you watch it, because you know the gags and you can kind of like go along with it and you can kind of pick up on different things. And I just feel like there's a lot of layers to it, both visually and in terms of the subtext and the writing and the arcs. I really feel like this is going to be a movie where maybe people are a little let down that there's not as much action. There's not as much of like a frenetic pace to it. It's a little bit more drawn out. But I really feel like in a couple years, this is going to be looked up on as, you know, at least equal, if not better, than the original Guardians.
Right. I'm just saying, grand scheme, I think we're going to hope for the. I think it's lining up with this already. I think it's going to be kind of the Winter
And I'm
Soldier.
sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry, but I'm talking like when I say the Star Wars. I'm saying like obviously these movies like don't, you know, it's like we're not going to compare them to the original trilogy, of course not. I am saying that Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 blow The Force Awakens and Rogue One completely out of the water.
Again, Rogue One's kind of
completely.
And Rogue One's kind of it's kind of like your 3.9, so it's kind of.
But I'd still argue, just in terms of like films that I want to go back and watch over and over again, Force Awakens is fun. It has a lot of problems with it. It has a lot of good moments too. I don't want to turn it into a Force Awakens.
Let's
discussion.
Can we focus on Guardians, please?
Sure. I'm sorry.
Like I was getting at. I think the way it's going to be turned out, and I think the way it's hopefully going to be looked upon in the future, you're kind of alluding to. I think it's going to be more of a Winter Soldier versus an Iron Man 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, no, I'm not trying to bash Iron Man 2. I'm just saying that's kind of the fan reaction broadly. Again, people I think were more jazzed about Winter Soldier than they were about Iron Man 2. Let's just say that much. So I guess just getting into some backstory then.
Shoot.
So briefly, here's kind of what brought us to this awesome film with a few little trivia facts. Just kind of what gave us the thing here. So big surprise success of the unprecedented awesome success of Guardians of 1.
I'm still bitter about the fact that The Hunger Games was technically the highest grossing movie of that year. That still really leaves a sour spot in my craw, man. Especially because the Hunger Games movie after that just completely bombed.
That was seriously, 2014 was a great year for just Marvel all across the board because we get Winter Soldier, Guardians, and you get from the other side of the fence.
X-Men
you get
Apocalypse, or not Apocalypse, Days of Future Past. Yeah.
It's a really strong year for it. Again, it was kind of like an out there because everyone's looking forward to 2015. Again, just 14 just kind of blew up, surprised everyone how good it was. The point is, unprecedented success of the first Guardians instantly gets a green light for a sequel. James Gunn has mentioned that basically the way the kind of development went on this, James Gunn, he's attached. He's always a writer first and foremost, who then usually gets to direct. That's kind of usually how it goes with James Gunn. I love that he's super involved in that capacity. He's writing and then kind of going to the directing.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned when he was developing 2, because he had some ideas for 2 when he got off of Guardians 1, some ideas to explore in the future if he were to make more, which included, and this could just broadly for the franchise of Guardians, like stuff we may not have seen yet. Wanted to explore characters like Drax, Nebula, and the Collector. And of course, he knew the crux of the next movie would be the Star-Lord's father, so he knew that much.
Star-Lord's biological father!
Yeah. So,
and it's kind of interesting, Dragon, that you bring up the Collector, because I feel like you kind of got like a half measure with the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which is centered around the Collector.
Yes, and with that, I get a sense that he would love to do like tons of Guardian stuff and how you have explored these characters further. I'm just saying the way I really love it, kind of Gunn's kind of process here is that he really allows, kind of in Better Call Saul style, he allows the story to kind of dictate where the characters are going. So again, those are directions he liked to explore, but the way the story is going, okay, if Star-Lord, he's just logically breaking it down, okay, what's our next story need to be? Well, we hinted at the Star-Lord's father quest, so we got to do that, and what could branch off from that, and then of course we bring in the other characters through that. There's always story first with Gunn. I do like that.
Yeah.
So So again, Star-Lord's father is kind of the crux of the sequel. There was a deal struck, and this is was talked about, but I think kind of forgotten in kind of the months that have passed in between movies here. But there was a deal struck between Marvel and Fox because technically Fox had the rights to Ego. They had to.
Okay.
They struck a
What's
deal,
funny
and it was
about that is that Ego is very similar to like a Fantastic Four villain, like Galactus.
Yep, which may have been the thing. Kind of in the Marvel cosmos is always kind of bled over in the Fox. So I imagine
exactly. Right.
So the deal was for Deadpool to get Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Oh God!
Basically, they parlayed it. So Deadpool got Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Guardians got Ego because Gunn had apparently just from what I've heard, Gunn had intended it to be Ego, so it wasn't like any like mystery. Like when he had an idea for Star Wars Father not being Jason of Spartax, apparently it was Ego the whole time. Reportedly. So basically, they kind of wrote. It's kind of a clever way of like kind of forcing Marvel's hand. So clever on Gunn's part if that was his intention. But basically, it's like, hey, it's got to be Ego, Living Planet. It has to be Ego. Can't be able to know it has to be Ego. Okay, we got to make a deal with Fox.
Oh God!
I just imagine that's kind of what's motivating that. A little behind the scenes here is that they avoided using the Nova Corps, any of the other notable Nova Corps members, or Captain Marvel, because.
Right. I gotta say, I kind of miss John C. Reilly.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because with kind of personalist movies, I really wanted to keep it very kind of limited in the number of characters and make sure the only human in the movie was Peter.
That makes sense.
But at least the only main human. Of course, we have like kind of Earthlings flailing about. Yeah. Well, no, Crowd's not necessarily human. We don't know that. Again, the humanoid for all we know.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying I'm saying they're born in space. There's a difference.
All right, Mr. Semantics.
Well, those semantics are important.
Okay.
Let's see. So basically, Nova Corps is kind of a no-show because he wanted Quill to be the only human. There were two characters supposed to be introduced. Mantis and Adam Warlock was supposed to be a lead character, one of the main characters.
Adam Warlock. I remember that, Dragon. I remember Adam Warlock was supposed to show up.
Yep, and of course we built Adam Warlock at the end of the original Guardians, but more on that later. But let's just say Adam Warlock had to be cut, so again we could limit the number of characters. And Adam Warlock, of course, carries a lot of baggage with him, so they didn't want to overly build him.
Sure.
Plus, again, I think he would kind of cross into the Infinity War territory, so that's like something else they wanted to maybe. Again, Gunn's really anti. I think now he's been smooth over on it, but he's really kind of anti-crossing this nice nexus of the Marvel universe in with the regular MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So, last two things here. Unfortunately, Nathan Fillion's cameo was deleted. I heard about this, and I'm so excited for it. And they got rid of it. They deleted. Basically, he was going to play a character who in the comics becomes Wonder Man. He's an actor, Simon Williams. And the idea is when you're on Earth in the beginning. It was either going to be in the beginning, or actually no, wouldn't be in the beginning. It'd be later on when everyone's flailing, when they're all running.
Right.
You were going to run past them. Yes, well, you were going to run past the theater that would have been near the Dairy Queen, or in like some other city on the Earth, wherever, and you would have seen like a movie theater. In that movie theater, you'd see three posters of all Simon Williams movies of Nathan Fillion doing movies that are very tongue-in-cheek Marvel references. And one of them was I told you this. One of them was going to be a Steve Jobs style Tony Stark movie.
Oh God!
And the poster looks like a Jobs, it looks like the Jobs thing, but it says like I don't know if it says Stark or what, but it's Tony Stark.
Can we just get John Lee Hancock to direct that movie?
That would be fantastic. Nathan Fillion as Tony Stark.
Yeah, right.
But not even that. Nathan Fillion as Simon Williams as Tony Stark.
Oh God,
multi-layered. So, real quick, there's actually in this. I'm glad to learn this one because this one just drove me crazy. After Guardians came out, anyone who possessed the Sony Walkman or the orange according headset was rolling in dough because they were selling it on eBay for a ridiculous amount of money.
God, I remember having so many of those headsets floating around my old middle school, man. I swear to God.
So basically, when they're acquiring more, just for stunt use and stuff, because they're going to go through a theater production. You can imagine the hole they went into, where it costs like thousands of dollars now to get hundreds to thousands of dollars to get a Sony Walkman
because
headset.
of their own it's like
their own success.
A monster.
Exactly. So
oh God,
it's only been said for the orange a headset. I don't know if that's only for that or if it's for the Walkman and the headset. But regardless, it's like I ran into some issues getting the stuff for the headset. I had to make some. And in the end, again, all that stuff kind of factored in. In the end, we get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and it worked out like gangbusters. So, moving on.
All right, let's get to a very quick plot summary, Dragon, if you will. Let's get to the title crawl.
Okay. 6 months have passed. I'm going to go through this course. A lot of stuff happens. I'm going to condense it as much as I humanly can. So, we're set 6 months past the Ronin business of the first movie, all the Ronin Power Stone, Power Gem stuff in the first movie. The Guardians have a reputation now because of that. They are hired by the perfectionist race, the Sovereign, to guard Anulax batteries from monsters or robbers in exchange for Nebula. After they get Nebula in their possession, Rocket then steals those batteries he does not need, which leads to a space chase, I like to call it, which leads to a crash landing and Star-Lord meeting his father, Ego, the Living Planet. The Guardians split up into kind of two teams, Drax, Star-Lord, Gamora, and on the other side of it, Nebula, Rocket, and Groot. Peter bonds with Ego, of course, gets some rocky territory in the beginning there, but they bond all nice father-son-like. The Ravagers, meanwhile, had been, in retaliation for the little battery fiasco, the Ravagers have been hired by the Sovereign to capture the Guardians. Which, all that business just leads to a mutiny against Yondu, freeing Nebula in the process. Yondu and Rocket bond while they're captured together, and then they forge an awesome escape along with little baby Groot. Gamora and Nebula hash out their issues in an over-the-top awesome way. It's revealed that Ego wants to reshape the galaxy in his own image. Irony bounds, I know, Ego, his own image. And it's revealed that it's also revealed that he gave Peter's mom cancer. Boo on you, Ego. Boo on you. Killing that nice lady like that. That's not nice.
So much for Father's Day.
Oh, well. Basically puts a damper on the family reunion, and now it's up to the Guardians to blow Ego up before his plants of himself all across the cosmos on various planets, including the Earth, engulf countless worlds. So it's like kind of cover the worlds and they'll all be like Ego Land. So it's up to Groot mainly to plant a bomb, and Peter. Here are the jobs. It's up to Groot to plant the bomb. It's up to Peter to distract Ego. All of this going on while facing down a Sovereign fleet attacking. In the end, Peter realizes Yondu was more of a father to him as he sacrifices himself. The team mourns as the Ravagers pay tribute to their now redeemed friend beautifully, and that's the movie in a nutshell.
It's so sad, Dragon. It's beautiful. It's freaking beautiful. All right. Okay, so let's get to the characters, Dragon, which is what this movie is all about. Let's start with your boy Star-Lord.
Yeah. Who? No, now at this point we all know who Star-Lord is. Yes. Oh boy, I was very happy with what we did with Star-Lord in this movie. It's a great arc of Star-Lord, of Peter Quill becoming a father to the team, to his kind of pseudo family he's got going on, kind of a surrogate family he's got going on now. This movie is Star-Lord kind of maturing.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I feel like Star-Lord spends the most time apart from the main Guardians besides maybe Gamora. He has a lot of screen time with Gamora, but you're right. By the end of it, it's very satisfying. Like it's almost kind of like a Luke in Empire Strikes Back. You know what I mean? It's like he goes away from the group. He goes on this sort of spiritual journey. Confronts his dark side, confronts the dark past, the dark parts of his lineage, and then comes out on the other side a stronger person, and then ready to take on the world and take leadership of the team. Does that sound about right to you?
It sounds about right. It's kind of like it's pretty much that, but it's what if the instead of Luke going to save the gang, it's now the gang going to save Luke.
Yeah, sure. With that one semantic, you're right. But in general, Dragon, very Empire Strikes Back-esque.
Well, the whole movie does feel a lot like Empire Strikes Back, because there's the whole father thing being in focus. There being a big reveal in relation to the father.
There being a big split up with the group, like I said. That's very Empire Strikes Back.
And of course, there was
the ending.
Ending's kind of a downer and stuff like well, there was a cold-related Well, I'm saying cold-related semi-death in the case of Star Wars, cold-related death in the case of the active Guardians.
Right.
Freezing of space freezing, so it's space freezing.
Okay, let me tell you one of the things I really love about Star-Lord is the way that we see in the 6 months that his influence is rubbed off on the rest of the team.
Yes, and that's great. It's been pointed out, and I agree with this very much so that it's they're all kind of Ego has like a whole planet to himself to kind of, and Star has a whole ship to himself, the Milan, in which they're kind of stuck in. Where of course they're going to be taking on traits like Quill.
So I love the exchange at the beginning with Rocket, like oh, I'm just trying to get the music on so we can listen to tunes while we work. And then Star-Lord's just like, no, actually, I agree with Drax. This is very important, and it's like, I just love the notion, Dragon, that at this point, like, Rocket is a bigger fan of the awesome mixes than Peter is. Like, he's more into listening to music.
Well,
and you get that throughout the movie.
Yeah, Groot and Rocket are music fans.
Yeah. And I love how throughout the movie, it's almost kind of like how, I almost feel like this movie is sort of like how the first, like, Awesome Mix Volume 1 was, of course, all about Peter. I feel like this movie, of course, is Awesome Mix Volume 2, centered more around family in general, like, like familial themes. And also just, I feel like it caters very much to Rocket, like, especially how they relate the songs to the characters. I feel like Rocket gets a lot of moments where they're using music with his character. I'm sorry, let's transition back to Star-Lord, but
yeah. So we'll definitely. I think you'll notice that kind of Star does relate to each of our characters in some fundamental way. So we'll kind of he'll be kind of seated throughout the thing, but just hitting a few more points to Star because I think Star is kind of a big crux of this movie in particular. It is his story in this one.
Can I just say one of my favorite Star-Lord deliveries? I think you know what it is.
Go on.
Okay, so it's like in the exchange where he's like finding out about his powers, and he's like, wait, you mean I can create things? And Kurt Russell's like, yeah, it might take a few thousand years to perfect. Oh man, I'm gonna build some really weird shit.
Like a giant Pac-Man and Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, just the childlike giddiness of that, Dragon. Of course, that is one of the things that Chris Pratt absolutely does not lose in the delivery.
So speaking of the childlike giddiness, just want to mention like just going through kind of how Star-Lord's kind of grown and kind of what's great about him that we do see in this movie and to see how it's evolved is that I think the message is we continue with the lovable man-child qualities that we love from Star-Lord in the first movie. He's the boy. It's that great concept of the boy who was pulled from 1988, and he grew up in space like any kid's kind of fantasy adventure of like basically what if you lived the Flash Gordon experience? You're pulled up from space. You're going on a grand adventure. You're a big old hero.
Right.
In this case, you get to become a space pirate. And he's faced with a very relatable "Who am I?" question. Every kid, again, he's looking at him as that kind of kid from '88, and being faced with that question. He's just kind of run away from his problems, and now he's being faced with the fundamental problems he would have to come to grips with growing up on Earth. Who am I? Which he can have now as an answer to with his father. Like, I'm half celestial. I'm half God, with a small g.
Yeah, I love how the God stuff kind of plays into his character and weaves its way through the arc. You know what I mean? And how he gives it up by the end of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, again, you remember Ego is like a big tie to his past, which he's faced with a big tie to his past, and he has a chance to regain a parent after losing his mother. He gets a chance to find a Hasselhoff.
Oh God.
And no, I don't mean a ride, because I know the Milano does unfortunately meet its demise, but he does not ride David Hasselhoff. He wants the father figure, David Hasselhoff. Just kind of specify the divide.
Now that would be a cameo if David Hasselhoff showed up like, hop on my back, Peter, I've got this.
Go, Hasselhoff, go! Anyway, so obscure SpongeBob references aside, back to Star-Lord here real quick. So again, just looking at kind of the thematic thing you get with Ego. A lot of people kind of call the question what the parameters of Ego are, but just looking at it in general with Ego. I think Star-Lord's ego to an extent is inflated by the God revelation as he's kind of...
Yeah, for sure.
He's not... I like that he's not bragging about it necessarily, but he's kind of like, he's a little wowed by like, now I know who I am, and I'm something really, really cool.
I think it's more like he's a fanboy of his own mythology in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Again, he's always been kind of he's been putting himself forward like the cool icons of the '80s. You know, his ego's definitely been inflated by the God revelation, and he's just been he's happy to reconnect with his godlike father, with his cool dad, his cool space dad. And again, what's really cool, and the reason I think he's bonding with Ego, I mean, we'll hit upon Ego later on, of course, but I think what's really cool about his bond with Ego is that their conversations, it's kind of done in their conversations, that he's getting to know his mother through his space dad.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love one of my favorite lines from Ego in that regard is my water lily who knew the words
River
of
Lily.
every song. River Lily. I'm sorry, who knew the words of every song that came over the radio.
Man, that is such a beautiful line. My God, it really
Yeah,
is.
yeah. I believe it's Kevin Smith that said it feels like a line like, man, you know that whoever wrote that like felt that emotion for someone. You know what I mean? Like it comes from the heart.
Before
Whoa. Dragon, you're coming in kind of staticky.
what about now?
Now it sounds fine. I'm sorry, you just cut out for a sec. Go ahead.
So let's say just finishing up on some of Star-Lord's arc here before we move on. He loses all of his a bit I like to call Star-Lord can't have nice things. He loses all of his kind of the symbols of his childhood and kind of his youth. Losing the Walkman, the Milano being kind of his Yondu years. Just kind of growing up.
Sure.
I really wish we weren't so vague about the state of the Milano because it's on another planet. But then again, our guys kind of abandoned it, so we don't know.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's like the symbol that he's losing a few things. I mean, the Milano might still be around. My point is, of course, when the Walkman gets broken, that's tragic to me. It's like, oh God, that really hurts.
It's kind of like the death of the RV in Breaking Bad.
Very much so, yes. Again, like the ultimate symbol of who Star-Lord is, like what everyone kind of remembers. So again, that's the title of the movie, the mixtapes. We love the Walkman. It's a huge part of his character. And just seeing that crushed on screen, my heart was broken. Really, just like, oh God, it's like he just can't have nice things.
Right.
But again, it's the symbol too. But again, what we get from that later on, I think it just plays really even better than just him losing stuff. Just showing we're definitely at the low of lows moment here. Is that he's accepting the unconventional family that the family of the Guardians. Basically, they went from friends to being family in this movie. That's kind of the between movie kind of transition. That's where we're at with him now, and he's accepting his role as kind of the patriarch of this Guardians family. He made the heroic choice. He sacrificed his old family for his new family.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So again, just all points for really good Star-Lord stuff.
Okay, let's transition into the the Diane to Star-Lord Sam to Gamora.
Yes, the matriarch of the Guardians family.
I don't know what Cheers is.
That's ridiculous. It's like it's kind of the answer to the we're just like Kevin Bacon.
Right. Okay, so Gamora. I think Gamora is probably the most improved character.
Yeah, because while the Gamora was not bad in the first Guardians movie, she didn't get enough to do.
Yeah, like I feel like her personality didn't really pop as much as the other personalities.
She was really attached to the MacGuffin story, which I don't think is a bad.
Right.
I don't think the MacGuffin thing's a bad thing. I just think that you're right. It's kind of it's what it is. We're going after a mysterious object. It's going after the. But the point is, Gamora's just kind of solid with plot in that movie, and it's not that she's bad; it's just she gets overshadowed by the other kind of really cool personalities we got going on in the movie.
Yeah, so in this movie, I definitely think we get a lot of time to actually a lot of the quieter moments in the movie. Dragon, a lot of the moments where we're just kind of like sitting down and having conversations revolve around Gamora. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I love addressing the unspoken thing between her and Star-Lord.
Yes, that's a great runner. Yeah, very
and again,
satisfying
I like that
conclusion.
I like how we're approaching the Gamora Star-Lord relationship. That we're not forcing them. We're still.
Well, I like that they're openly addressing that it's like a Jim and Pam type thing.
Well, you may not want to mention Jim and Pam because James Gunn actually was. He's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry. But
yeah, Sam and Diane. It's the unspoken thing. It's kind of. Well, I don't want to say unspoken because Seinfeld thing. Jerry and Olinda used to be. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. The point is, I just look at we're kind of addressing. We're not forcing a relationship at the same time. Like they could still be friends, but if not, it's still if not, there was enough there, I think, that kind of suggests they do have stuff in common. I do like that. There's a good parallel in this movie that really occurs to me, especially in the rewatch, is that uh, Peter and Gamora, they're kind of like Meredith and Ego in a way. If you look at it this way, kind of the music lover, the Earthling music lover, that's Meredith and that's Peter. The alien who kind of wraps him up in kind of this new adventure that kind of fundamentally changes things, that's Ego and Gamora.
Sure.
It's the alien-human relationship, but it's also, again, it's they're influencing the other person in the relationship, and that's kind of what Peter and Gamora do. They improve each other when they're together, because Peter, as we saw at the end of Guardians, like she's kind of swaying around with the music at the end. She's not a dancer, but she's a closet dancer. That's kind of what she is. She's. I mean, Gamora.
I really love the small moments between her and the other Guardians, like when they're crash landing and someone tosses Groot to her, and she's just she just very, very politely just like, hold on, we're gonna do this, we got this, like very very positive, you know what I mean? She has very positive interactions with her.
And here's the other, I'm not gonna get into a sort of an Oedipal kind of Bates Motel territory here, but just go with me.
Oh God.
If you look at it, especially that great emotional ending for the end of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we have been kind of seeing that again. Gamora is very much somewhat of a reminder of Peter's mother. I'm just saying with the whole Peter, take my hand.
I'm gonna make this less creepy, and I'm gonna say that Star-Lord is the fatherly figure, and Gamora is the motherly figure of the group. How about that?
I know we established that. I'm just
okay.
I'm saying that it's like he's seeing kind of there's that quality, there's the parallel going on, but there's also like I love how motherly Gamora is to to Groot and stuff, like it's like one of my favorite bits. I love in the opening battle, Groot's just waving hi. It's just
hi.
It's so motherly to me, and then she says goodbye. It's so darn cute. That's what
right.
That's them serving their functions, kind of the matriarch and the patriarch. They're all. All nice stuff. And again, another thing is with her and Star Wars, she's a dancer into now because she has darkness in her past as well as Peter, but hers, of course, is really kind of tied into Thanos and everything.
I think hers is if we're playing a contest of who had the shittiest childhood, I think she would win.
Well, yes, she would. I'm just saying that in seeing kind of the comparison here, is that I like that like Peter kind of working through his past with Ego, she's working through her past with Nebula. So kind of I like how we're seeing the seeds that these two could actually end up as a decent couple. It's not just like a forced thing, but there is an unspoken kind of bond between them. But it doesn't necessarily, we're not forcing a kiss or anything after 2 movies, which is good.
Okay, do you want to save the stuff with Nebula until we get to her character?
Well, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So
let's go on the whole Gamora. Good stuff, Gamora.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, let's transition to Rocket then. Oh God, like I said, Dragon, I really think Rocket was great in the first movie. I think Groot and Drax were kind of the big standouts in the first movie. I really think that Rocket is one of the hearts of the movie here. I love Rocket's arc.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, of course. The pairing with Yondu was brilliant. Some people have been criticizing the fact that the Guardians get split up through a big part of the movie, but I really don't mind that because it allows us to get deeper into the character interactions, and I feel like that's what this movie's more about. Like, the first movie was very much like the team coming together, and so you have a lot of moments of them just playing off of each other. But I feel like the movie is just so confident out of the gate of like, yeah, these guys, like we know exactly what we're doing with writing them. They're super connected. That I really don't mind that we go off in different directions with them. And I think the Rocket storyline is a great example of that.
Yeah. It's a few things with Rocket is I really do like kind of this this surrogate family you got going on here. It's like he and Groot are their bond already is like they're brothers. They're really good friends who then are, at this point, they're like brothers. And they're kind of like the kids in this demented family here you got going on. Like Drax is the crazy Drax is the crazy uncle, and Rocket are the kids. And Rocket's like kind of the teenage to eldest child who's trying to supplant. And again, this is kind of in that weird Oedipal thing. Like he's trying to supplant the father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just saying because that's why he's giving Quill such a hard time. He's trying to measure up to Quill. He's trying to again, it's kind of like trying to supplant him in a way. Just he wants to prove that he's better than Quill.
And so it's interesting that we get kind of a contrast between the way that Rocket and Quill were like really, really tight in the first movie, you know, and now, like you said, the fact that Quill is kind of the patriarch, Rocket is kind of grown a little bit of a bitterness, and it is really interesting. Like I said, first of all, I love the fact that Rocket stealing batteries is just like a plot device that literally weaves its way through the course of the whole damn movie and into the sequel.
Right.
But I mean, more importantly than just the batteries thing, it's kind of just the storyline is kind of like Rocket learning to you know, take responsibility for his actions and sort of grow up and you know, really kind of understand who he has, like how good he has it with his friends, you know.
Yeah. He doesn't admit that that he cares until he gets wisdom from Yondu about what he's doing, why the course he's going about isn't worth taking. Of course, you're going to learn, but basically, look at me, kid. It doesn't turn out good. Essentially, is what he's saying, and also just of course he's just. I think he's pushing people away for a couple of reasons. I think he's pushing people away because of the family that. I don't know how much they're pulling from Rocket's backstory, because sometimes he has a family. In this case, in these movies, it's still unclear if he had a family or not. So the point that might be factoring into the arc.
I'm going to talk about that in specs, so let's put a pin in that.
Well, the point is like a reminder of either of losing family or just a family that he doesn't or will or never have. My point is like that reminder as well. Something that was pointed out to me, I never considered. I thought it was kind of an interesting level in the movies that. Groot's sacrifice may have been kind of weighing on, but Groot's going to have to kind of go through life again. He's not going to be the same Groot until like a long period of time. He may not even be the same Groot. So he's just kind of taking in Groot's sacrifice. So basically, he's alone, and him without kind of the fully kind of the Groot that he kind of came to know, he's going to be a little different. That's kind of what might be motivating Rocket's arc in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a cool idea, and I can get behind that.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah.
And of course, the ending shot with Rocket, man. Oh, God.
It was. I think that's helped by the fact that James Gunn has a pet raccoon, so he's got a lot of raccoon love going on. But I still think that was a really good move to end on, the ending on Rocket. It's like not the traditional ending.
It's absolutely like honestly, Dragon. Like I said, I think it's one of my favorite endings, at least of any movie in the past decade or so. It's haunting and beautiful, and I never thought I'd say that about a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Basically, like, the ending of Doctor Strange was really good with the hand still shaking, but after everything he'd accomplished, like, that was a good start. But this is just like, oh, God.
Of course, I'm with you till the end of the line. That'd be my frame reference.
Right. But anything else with Rocket?
No, I think unless you got anything else, it's
no. Well, anything else we can cover with Yondu? I think.
Let's go to the destroyer.
All right, so yeah, Drax is interesting. I definitely called that he'd have a relationship with Mantis.
I see.
I mean, it's not necessarily a relationship, but it's definitely a dynamic. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. It's kind of hard to tell. We'll get into it. Drax definitely has a fun evolution in this movie. It's a fun evolution from the first one. Again, that's kind of the brilliance of this whole 6 months instead of like a couple of years down the line. So they're not completely like they're going through their arcs right now instead of being at the end point.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like we kind of called this in the trailers, but I think what they were really going at with Drax in this movie is the first one. His whole arc, his whole gimmick was that he was the guy who didn't understand emotions. And in this movie, he's the guy who's on emotion overload.
Yes.
So I really like that evolution in his character.
Yes, and thanks, and I think that's thanks to Star-Lord and Rocket. I kind of took this from just where we start with Drax. I think thanks to Star-Lord and Rocket, he understands humor and he overindulges in it. As you just said, he's overindulging, but like now he gets humor as he's just barreling for like, hey, practical jokes. He doesn't get how to do them, but he's just saying practical jokes. He's just. He's
I'm sorry. Every time that he has his deep belly laugh is just so delightful. Like,
yeah, they just kind of realize this when they hit their stride with Drax of like in the whole like yes. He's just this jovial, jolly giant.
I know, right?
During these,
that was awesome.
Yeah, or like kind of the Drax saying, "I'm here to vanquish my foe." That's sort of like kind of he's basically kind of like he's the Belushi of the team. He's the awesome Belushi of the team. In a way. He's but at the same time, just something to address Drax was great is that with all this humor we're getting with Drax, it's possible that he's masking the loss of his family and just kind of.
Oh, I definitely think so. One of the moments that hit me the most in the movie was Mantis taking his sadness away.
Well, he didn't. She didn't necessarily. She didn't take it away. She felt it.
Right. But okay, you know what I mean, though. I think that moment played very well with him, and it was a very great sort of understated character moments.
Yes, and I think it's not just like he's feeling lost to his family because he's always going to feel that. I'm just saying in terms of I like how we're processing that with Drax is that he did avenge them in the first one, but now he's kind of accepting a world where his he doesn't have he's kind of now that he's not driven by getting revenge or like him going after God knows how many people who lead the Ronin. Now that he's kind of done that, he's now realizing I'm in a world without my family. And it's kind of why he's overindulging in the humor to mask that. That's why we have this lighter behavior and jolliness with some sadness underneath, which is adding layers to our wonderful little Drax character.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he deeply cares, and I think this is kind of a sweet thing with just Drax and the whole is that we see that he deeply cares about his new family, especially Quill, because there's that great moment in the movie. I really love this little small moment where when they have to leave Quill behind, he's calling down the Rocket, he's
Rocket, where's Quill? Where's Quill?
And I like to think
I'm right there with you.
And honestly, it's like this other moment goes by, and I'll save like one of the trailer moments I really love that we get to see in the movie again. That's later on, but just a moment we see when Quill's just kind of tapping into his power with all the good memories, all the happy stuff. I just love this little moment. He and Drax is kind of laughing it up and having a good time. And I like to think that is really really kind of touching because it's showing me that hey, that's kind of showing that the Quill's humor is rubbed off on Drax and their time together. And that's what Drax really has Quill brought him into the fold. They always have that bond together. Drax was one thing because he said, "Hey, don't kill Gamora. Come with us."
Sure, totally.
Yeah, just he sees another outsider in Star-Lord, and I think that's kind of another level they relate upon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, let's get to Baby Groot.
Yeah.
All right, Dragon. I don't know. I gotta say, Baby Groot is kind of an interesting, kind of sort of tough character to talk about because I don't necessarily feel like he has all that much of an arc in the movie. He's just sort of like there to be adorable and to add spice and flavor to scenes. What do you think? I don't know. Having seen it 3 times, I'm having a little bit of trouble picking. Like outside of the arc of like him paying more attention to like what he's doing. You know what I mean? Because of course we have the great gag with him going through the effort to get the fin. And then that paying off with the bomb. But other than that, that's about the only arc he has. What do you think?
Well, I'm saying looking at him in that context, he's just kind of representative of the arc. He's kind of a symbol of Quill's arc in a way. He's just kind of like this. They have the innocent baby of the team. This great kind of this great childlike. I mean, again, we have like the great childlike bits where he's just waving hi and just getting Gamora saying hi in the midst of the battle, like all those little cutesy bits. Where
I love the moment where they're floating off and he's on the window.
Yeah, like basically a Garfield kind of like car sticker.
Now that is exactly the kind of imagery that I want out of a Star Wars movie, Dragon. That's the sort of stuff that really sweeps me up and makes me say, like, this is a movie. You know what I mean? Great visual storytelling there.
Yeah, and of course I think I love that he's also kind of this meta thing. Groot's just kind of like he is kind of like as dark as we might get with things here and there. I mean, Groot's always going to be that little source of kind of levity and comedy, and we have these great. Again, he really I think he's representative of Star-Lord's arc, but an exaggerated form of it, where we have this bit where, this doesn't necessarily reflect on Star Wars. It's a really great human moment with Groot, where Nebula's like putting pressure on poor baby Groot, saying, "Hey, your friends are gonna get killed unless you let me go," and just putting pressure on poor baby Groot, just kind of representing like, "Hey, you're gonna make some tough choices, and it's gonna be kind of scary." Again, it's basically Groot is maturing as this film is going on. Again, it all kind of culminates with a very simple choice being made, and of course, I think all that kind of builds to like a small thing. And that is a series of that gets him to his next stage, possibly. And he's a great meta thing of playing with the cuteness, like, "No, Jeff, you can't kill me. He's too cute to kill."
That was fun. That's a good
I think one of the best lines. No, Jeff, he's too cute to kill.
Disney would be on our ass. Do you know how much money he's worth in merchandising?
His love is like, can I hit him with a rock? Taserface, can I hit him with a rock? No, Jeff, he's too cute to kill.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, take him to the tailor. I just love they have like a tailor on board, by the way.
I love how the tension between Groot and Drax carries over into this movie. Like, of course, we see that right from the opening scene where, like Groot's dancing and then Drax crashes right in front of him and he stops dancing. That's like a mirror of the, of like one of the last moments we get in Guardians. You know what I mean?
I wasn't crazy about that.
Really?
It's got to feed into my cons, but I think it's a little too fan servicey to the original.
All right, I appreciated it, but
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it feels forced.
All right, well, let's get to a moment that I don't think is forced at all, which is in scene again, Dragon. That fucking amazing end scene all around, even outside of that final shot, just amazing final sequence. I love the moment where Gamora hands baby Groot over to Drax, and Drax is just like cradling him.
Yeah.
And that's after like all the tension in the movie, and that really like that small gesture, how Drax is so loving and Groot is so welcoming to him. It's like that small gesture just represents so much of the family themes in the movie to me.
And two things with Baby Groot in that ending kind of chunk, that ending kind of sequence, is that one that's you gotta imagine it's taking Drax back to when he was raising his daughter.
Of course.
And the other side of it, the thing that really touched me, and just the fact that I know Chris Pratt is a father, and you see, I've seen like they always show like pictures of he, Anna Faris, and their kid. Really nice, sweet stuff. And it's kind of I imagine that scene must have touched Chris Pratt, where he has he's holding little baby Groot on his lap or something while he's they're listening to music together. So that to me, and that's just showing you again kind of that patriarch sort of thing with Star-Lord, and that's how that's relating to Groot. Where again, I think just the idea of Groot's kind of looking to Quill, sort of not only he's the leader of the team, but he's also somewhat kind of imprinting on him as just kind of that mentor to look towards.
Right. Yeah, really good stuff.
It's real quick, just the brilliance. I love the brilliance of the ending, where it's the scale defeat of someone so small and so humble versus someone so large and overconfident. That's such a great matchup there. It's really great. And all that in connection to the family theme. Baby Groot is just insanely adorable, but it's the hat gag. We'll get to the hat gag later.
Okay, now I don't have Nebula, I don't have Nebula in this order, Dragon. So where does Nebula come in?
Then we might as well
before or after Yondu.
That's the thing. I can't. Probably after Yondu, I guess.
Okay, so do you want to? I'm sorry. Do you want to do Yondu, then Nebula, then Mantis?
Yeah.
Yondu, Nebula. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so let's get to. Oh God, this guy stole the show. He completely he stole the show in the first one, and in this one he even more so I love Yondu to death, Dragon. Oh my God, I just Yondu in this movie is everything I wanted him to be and more.
Oh yeah, I mean Yondu's where he is in this movie. He's losing the trust of his men post the Guardians ending with that great ending of the. I love the end of the first Guardians, guys. Where that he has the troll doll and he just gives that smile I'm gonna let him get away with it. Again, we were unsure how that was going to play out. We had to speculate on it, so I like the fact that he took him giving Quill a pass has really cost him and caused him to kind of reflect on his life choices.
Totally, and I love how good it is. Rewatching this movie 3 times, Dragon. The movie totally starts right after he's having sex with a prostitute.
Yeah, a bunch of I think the robotic prostitutes, the robotic alien.
Yeah, it's let's just address this right now. I feel like this is a very hard PG-13 for a Marvel movie. Because we've got that opening shot with Yondu, and he's shirtless, he's buckling his pants back up. There's a scantily robot woman in the background. We know what's going on. I think even kids can put the dots together on what's going on there. You know what I mean?
Well, then again, we did get away with the line Age of Ultron playing a game of hide the zucchini. So I mean, we've kind of
Right. But yeah, so Yondu is just like, I love how sympathetic he is right off the bat when we get to Stakard, I believe is Stallone's character, Stakard. Yeah.
Yes, Stakard, yeah.
First of all, we'll get to him more later, but props to Stallone, man, because he barely has any screen time, but he uses all his screen time to the maximum capacity. But it's just like Yondu is just like publicly humiliated, like this great fatherly figure to him. Again, all these fatherly themes in the movie, Dragon. Like, the movie essentially starts with this fatherly figure that Yondu's looked up to.
He's been disowned. He's the disowned kind of figure
in a very harsh public way. Like, you're serving this one person, so therefore we're not going to serve you because of this act of housing this one person. Talking about Yondu, like, that is harsh, Dragon, because that not only brings shame to you, but it brings blame to you, and it brings ridicule to you throughout your entire community. It brings ripple effects.
Essentially saying, because I believe the exact line is like, you've lost the business of 99. Basically, I think the idea is there's 100 factions of Ravagers, and for you serving this one that's been essentially disowned, we're not coming here again. So you lost 99 other like kind of groups you could have.
Right.
And that public,
and so, like you said, that just
sets Yondu off to calling him out. Like, God, where do you get off?
Yeah, and that just leads to to Yondu getting mutinied essentially, and kind of starting off our big adventure with Baby Groot and Rocket.
Yeah, we do get some excellent backstory in Yondu. The idea that he was sold into slavery, he was Kree slavery.
Dragon, I love this character so much. I would be so down for just like a standalone prequel Yondu movie. I would be so down for that.
It's interesting you say that. Maybe just put a pin in that for speculation. Just remind me of it.
Okay. And it's funny, Dragon. It's funny. I mean, let's just address the elephant in the room here. Like, Yondu does die in this movie. And Dragon, I believe I definitely did call this. I very much called this.
Well, I mean, we were kind of going over death possibilities. I can't remember where we came down on Yondu, so you got to refresh my memory.
No, I know for a fact that I called it because of the parental themes, right? I thought, like, I got it kind of wrong. I thought that, I thought that Ego was going to directly kill Yondu, and not Yondu ending up sacrificing himself, but I think the way they did it was beautiful. But it's just kind of funny, like, about 15 minutes into the movie, I had that flash, like, oh, Yondu's going to die in this movie, isn't he? Oh no! Oh God! I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's really dangerous when you lose your iconic, your symbols of iconography. Like Star-Lord's Scepter gets broken, and then of course Yondu's his arrow gets broken. It's kind of symbol of, okay, now our guys aren't clear anymore. They're in danger.
And you know what's so heartbreaking about that, Dragon, about the death, is that like it comes like 10 minutes after the awesome I'm Mary Poppins, y'all bit, which can we just all agree is going to be the line of the movie?
Maybe.
I think at this point, it's not like, of course it's not the most deep line or anything like that, but I think at this point it's at the very least the most quotable line in the movie.
Yeah, I really love the follow-up to that. Like, is he cool? Yeah, he's really cool.
Hell yeah, he's cool.
Yeah. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
But directly after that moment is the traditional Marvel, like standing around in circle moment. And I gotta tell you, Dragon, having Yondu in that mix, you know what I mean? Like having Yondu right alongside Drax and Rocket, and it gave me chills, man. And I want more of that. And it's like I was just like, oh God. And especially rewatching the movie, knowing what's coming, it's like, oh, this is such an awesome, satisfying moment. Like, Yondu's finally like an official Guardian, but it's not going to last. It's so heartbreaking when you rewatch it.
Yeah. So, just looking at Yondu for a moment, he's, again, I like that we get him to his low point where he's really kind of, when he's like kind of analyzing, he's really lamenting on his life's choices before he kind of like eventually he turns, he's reflecting on himself when he's talking to Rocket, and then later on he's revealing to Rocket, no, that's you too.
Right,
he's like deep down.
I love that exchange.
Yeah, because it seems like they might break out into like an unnecessary fight, but then it just kind of diffuses itself when he just like says,
I know you because you're me, boy.
Yeah. Kind of friggin' parallel, that sort of, yeah. So, of course, with Yondu's done something very controversial in the Ravagers thing, where they broke, he broke the code of child trafficking. I love the Ravagers do have an honor code. Like, you don't do anything with kids, never traffic kids.
Right.
And I like that we see Yondu deep down is good because he didn't deliver Quill once he found out these kids are meeting an abysmal fate. Instead, he raised Quill best a pirate could, which is why.
And I love that we get the arc of like we're starting out, like we hear about Yondu before we even see him, and we're making jokes about like how, the things we loved about Yondu in the first movie, how he was like this curmudgeon-y alien guy who was like seemingly like moments away from eating Peter if he got on his bad side. You know what I mean? And I love the delivery by Ego. That son of a bitch. that moment gets quite a reaction from the theater every time I see it. That Ego delivery.
Oh yeah. And again, it's looking at the way Yondu raised them, it's no surprise why Star-Lord is the way he is. He's a thief with in the beginning of Guardians, he's the thief with a good heart who who bands criminals together to become the good guys. It's kind of Star-Lord's arc, and the same thing can be said for Yondu in this movie. He's the wise, compassionate figure who arrows a lot of guys to death. Again, this wise compassion
in this movie, Dragon. So much death. Like, thank God it's not Batman with that arrow. Is all I have to say.
Oh yeah. Thank God.
Like, I was shocked at how many people were just like straight up getting killed in that scene. And
it's such a happy scene too. That's
the
kicker. It's like it's such a happy. Like, the audience is cheering. Yeah, let's murder people. Yeah, let's stab them. Let's smush him. Let's burn him alive. Yeah.
I mean, that scene, pretty much like the Jailbreak 2.0, is I would say that's the centerpiece of the movie for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, fair, yes. Okay, let's see. So I guess
I have other things to say about Yondu.
Well, I'm saying maybe we should save anything about his sacrificial thing to some other moments later on, or
sure. But really quick, I just want to say I love the moments where afterward, during the sacrificial, I love the line he might have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
That's a beautiful line, really. That really does. That's a great line.
Yeah, and just props to Michael Rooker, man. Oh my God. Just, Brad Jones, when he was talking about the movie, said that it probably won't happen, but Michael Rooker should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And Dragon, I would be 100%, I'd sign off on that. I would totally, that would be so well earned in my book. And also, last thing I'll say on the death before we get into moments and whatnot, far and away the most effective death in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not even close, right?
Close to what?
That kind of proves my point, but I guess the only character
I'm saying, you keep cutting out. Which character are you talking about? You keep cutting out.
Oh, the death of Yondu. The death of Yondu is.
Well, I know Yondu's death compared to who?
Anyone else in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, any other death.
Okay, now I got you.
Can you hear me okay?
I mean, yeah. You could, yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to move the microphone closer. I'm sorry. I just kind of clipped my wings there. But yeah, I do very much think that Yondu, his death is the most effective and the most significant death of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I don't even think it's close.
Well, I mean, maybe Star-Lord's mother. That's an effective death, I gotta say. That's the only competition.
But I mean, we've been building up Yondu for 2 movies, though. I mean, come on.
That's fair. I'm saying in terms of murder, yes. In terms of murdering death, yeah, it's probably the top of the heap.
All right. So let's get into Nebula then.
Yeah, start us off.
Okay, Nebula, interesting character. I think I don't necessarily. I think the actress playing Nebula is kind of like a weak point in the cast. She's not bad by any means. I just don't think she has the same sort of chemistry as the rest of the cast. Maybe that's because she had less of a dynamic with them the first time around. I appreciate that. On individual levels, she's kind of like the bratty teenage sister in the family dynamic. I mean,
Look,
she's like the Debbie Thornberry.
in a way, yes. I kind of like how over the top crazy she is in places where she traveled, as Gamora points out, she traveled all across the galaxy just to kind of settle a score.
I gotta say, Dragon, it's interesting that that's a highlight because that's probably my least favorite scene in the whole movie.
Well, I'm not saying it's the whole scene goes off of that hitch. I'm just saying like of the concept of that. She comes back and screaming on top of her once. Ah!
I mean, it's well executed action. I just think it goes on way too long.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's
and it paced a little bit, like moving into the third act.
Yeah,
but anyways, of course, a lot of fun stuff with Nebula. I love the the runner with it isn't ripe.
I like the runner. I'm not sure the payoff was necessarily worth it. I'm not.
I don't know. I like it.
I'm just saying.
I'm just easy to please, I guess.
I don't know. I don't have any issues. I'm just saying, like, now on the rewatch, it didn't really hold up as well as it did the first time. It was just like, isn't ripe. I don't know. Maybe it would have been funnier if the Rav just said, "What is it? Is it not ripe?" Just if everyone instantly knows if it's ripe or not, because everyone just keeps pointing. Like Drax points it out. Gamora, it's not ripe, and I hate you.
Let me point out my favorite moment in the whole movie with Nebula, and it's a moment that has no dialogue at all. It's right after the big fight scene with Gamora, and she's putting herself back together.
Oh, that's cool.
That, like, I feel like that says more about her character than just visually than anything else we get in the whole movie.
Well, and we had that in the first movie too when she does that little thing.
I guess, but I think in this movie it's a lot more pronounced, and of course she's lost more body parts since the last movie.
Yeah, true.
And I just love the idea of this kind of like it's weird. It's almost kind of like a Darth Vader-esque, like the half cyborg type thing that she's got going on. Of course, I love the voice. That's a really good touch with her.
Even Karen Gillan's really good in the movie.
Yeah, like I said, even like she is really good. The issue I have with her performance isn't so much with her in particular. It's more with like I don't feel like the crew with the other cast is really all that. It's not as strong. Like, but I guess that's not really a fair comparison because of course, like our main guys are like so well integrated at this point. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Anyways,
again, Nebula's kind of a hard one to work in because her main character point is that she hates Gamora with a passion, wants to kill her, and it's kind of hard to kind of get a banter going until we work through some of the issues, which you have to do. You have to build.
So I guess in this movie, we do work through those issues, and we kind of come out the other side pretty satisfied. So I think the movie was very efficient in that regard, and furthering her character. And I assume that she's going to be. I'm sorry. One quick thing. I assume she's going to be a major player in Infinity War, probably one of the most major Guardians characters in Infinity War.
Oh yeah, like I was about to say, yes. The Thanos thing she mentions, of course, was definitely seeing at big motivation for her in Infinity War. Basically, if I'm remembering correctly, I know she is one of the people that defeats Thanos. I'm trying to think. Basically, she gets the glove away from Thanos in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
The gauntlet, she gets the gauntlet away from Thanos in the thing. At least she has designs on doing that. So again, like her, just this plan she lays out is love, and it's delivered so brilliantly with one of our next characters come up. Not directly next, but soon. She's just going off to Kraglin about like.
That's a great moment.
I'll admit again, it's feeding into one of the problems of the movie. It doesn't kill a bit. The bit's fantastic though. Just this whole. It kind of comes out. This is great. This is excellent backstory. We're getting the whole idea. Thanos would force Gamora and Nebula fight each other, and they lose parts.
It's basically like children cockfighting. It's super dark.
And Thanos sounds like if it's Thanos' person, it's even more horrifying. That if Thanos would rip out like the eye or the pieces of skull.
Oh, I think it would be Thanos personally. Yeah.
And just the idea, and then you have to replace things with, the robotic parts, and she intends on doing that to Thanos, and just to show him what's Lady Kraglin says, yeah, I was thinking maybe getting a necklace or a pretty hat.
Something pretty to make all, that's nice.
yeah, okay. Kraglin's great. We'll get to him. So
I can't wait to talk about Kraglin.
So The next.
Anything else about Nebula then?
No, not really. Just again, we had bits with her with each. She had an interaction with each of the Guardians. It would have been nice if we had more of it. But again, it's like you gotta get her to a certain place before we can really have them have like scenes.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm coming down on her. So she was well played consistently though, and which was good. We needed more of her, which we did get.
Okay, let's get to Mantis. She was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man, this was great. I remember just ever since I saw her in the, I went nuts for her when I saw her in that second trailer. I think it was the second one.
Yeah, where that whole moment where like Groot, or not Groot, Drax is just like, do me.
Yeah, but just one, I was just blown away with the practicality because basically everything on her is practical except like the tips,
the very tips of the antennas. Yeah,
basically the glowing parts of the antenna. That's the only part that's kind of done digitally, which it's understandable. And again, the point is, it looks amazingly practical. She looks really cool instantly. Of course, Mantis is a member of the Guardians team in the comics. So again, it's kind of they're adding her to the roster, which is cool. She looks cool. She's fun. She just is this. I think the reason Mantis flows so organically in the film, they got to remember, this is her flowing organically into the film is why she's in there instead of Adam Warlock, because she was really integral to the play.
Yeah, definitely.
Is less the fact that she has like kind of something that can temporarily stop Ego with the whole sleeping thing, but more importantly, I think she's commenting on kind of our hidden true feelings theme with the movie as well, because while every character on the Guardians team in this movie, even Yondu, everyone thematically is hiding a part of themselves. They are like masking a part of themselves, and she could see through it. Yondu, of course, Yondu and Rocket being the prime example. Gamora, Gamora's kind of hiding, and she's a dancer underneath it all. And
sure.
We got Ego, of course, and the telling thing about Ego is that Ego he's hiding his true intentions from Peter, and of course he only uses her for to fall asleep. As shown, she could humble Ego, but Ego only uses her for very just boring purpose. They'll put him to sleep, make sure he doesn't blow up or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have the great pairing of her and Drax, who is yet another outsider, and she doesn't get the complexities of human emotions, like kind of subtleties, like Drax does.
Which is great because it's basically Drax teaching her the character arc that through in the first movie,
which is brilliant. And again, nothing that cracks me up just seeing the bit that we didn't get in the trailer. Is a hysterical thing to add to that scene is. When she does, the whole do me, we never saw what happened after the do me. So she touches Drax, and then she feels his humor, and then the shot of the two of them and her pointing at Star-Lord laughing just cracks me.
Oh my god!
This is just so adorable. She really is. It's like, it's like basically, it's
I
like
love the bit with Drax, like the ugly bit.
Basically, it kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of our parody of a weird parody of Voice of Electra. Where we basically, if we took out the psychotic menace of it all, if Mantis was all smiles and Farmiga-isms, she would be Mantis.
Do it! I want to hear that voice now.
Oh, she's so fluffy. I'm going to die.
Yeah, I can see. I can see a little Electra in there. Yeah, sure.
The little baby tree is so cute. I put it in the back of the car.
So she has some great moments, like you said, just kind of repeating some of the Drax stuff, but in a different sort of context. Good humanizing stuff. I'm really interested to see how she's going to fit into the team going forward. I think they did a really good job of integrating her, at least with Drax and Gamora. Peter, of course. I'll be interested to see more of how Rocket and Groot and company kind of respond to her later on, but we'll cross that bridge in Guardians 3.
I'm sure we're going to get a lot of great dynamics from her in the future, because she's just a character bound for that. It's another innocent character, and as Groot's kind of growing up a little bit more, of course, we'll have she'll be kind of our baby Groot in the next movie, perhaps.
Right.
And again, just a few things kind of dwell for the relationship possibilities between her and Drax. Like Drax, I personally, I would like Drax to end up with a person. I would like that because
I definitely think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and here's the only thing that gives me pause on that. First of all, of course, as always, it doesn't need to happen, but it'd be nice if it happened. I'd like Drax to
I'm
end
just
up
saying
with
the movie, like it goes through the whole arc of, you know, like the ugly on the inside arc, or the beautiful on the inside arc. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, there's just this one line that makes me just not just instantly just gonna go with that. It's the one line about it's a really sweet bit as well. It's a little bit in conflict with the relationship possibilities. It's this bit of he of the story about his daughter, which is a beautiful moment. But it's kind of
Mm.
counterintuitive to any romance because again, he's not only thinking of his she has like the temperament of his daughter though, which is nice. The innocence of his
Yeah.
daughter. That's the only thing that gives me pause in a relationship, which kind of makes me think, well, it might go basically that coupled with the whole "I don't like you that way" thing. That those two elements like maybe kind of question if there's going to be a relationship. But regardless, it's like we have this sweet bit of like, oh, the bug lady's my friend now. So I don't know. I'd like to think with
Drax is
that.
teaching me a lot of things, like I am ugly.
So I would like to think that at the end when he says that you are you're it's beautiful like you on the inside. I still like to think that's progress of him
And
coming
Dragon, I
around.
gotta say, that moment is another moment. Like, it's a 3 out of 3. The audience just got a huge response out of that all 3 times I saw
Just
it.
these are wonderfully sweet characters. Just one of them just is taking so many harsh shots at the other.
Right, right.
But again, I like Drax to end up with her, but we'll see how it goes. What I'd like to think this one thing just in suggestion of it as maybe he's mocking her to mask an attraction like a schoolboy would do. It was just kind of he's saying all
Oh,
these
I
things
did
because.
totally. I was actually getting that from the first time I watched it. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, these two seem like a pair in heaven, so why not get them together? But then, again, that could be a story for Guardians through just him kind of processing through, kind of moving on with someone else.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so now let us get to Kraglin.
Yeah.
All right, so
Sean
Kraglin.
Gunn.
I think Kraglin is probably like the big sort of dark horse underdog character in this movie. I really like what they did with him.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed Craiglin, even the small bits he had in the first Guardians. I just like the one is like, hey, there's the director's brother. But aside from that, it's always been just kind of the fun thing of like, hey, Yondu has kind of like a second in command, who's kind of another funny Ravager. He's the one who kind of echoes him. He goes with him in all like the scenes. He always has Craiglin by his side. So Craiglin's always been like a fun little supporting character of a supporting character. Here he's got some great. I like that Craiglin was. I was fearing that Craiglin might get killed off in this movie. It's like, oh, I really hope they don't do it because he's the reason.
Kraglin got a promotion at the end of this.
He did, so I was happy for that. But also at the same time, Craiglin, I'm of course Sean Gunn always be around because he plays Rocket Raccoon's he plays the CG kind of capture of Rocket Raccoon for the body of it, but. Yeah, it was a great day. He's always been kind of a great first mate and sidekick to Yondu, and the fact that him just simply questioning Yondu's actions is him letting Quill off. Just, again, questioning Yondu through the Ravager framework. Like as a Ravager, we wouldn't let anyone off here, but you keep letting off Quill, and he's kind of questioning in a very public form, which he incidentally, and he feels really bad for it. He causes a mutiny which kills all his friends. And he feels really bad about it.
Yeah, there's some really dark moments in this movie, and all those bodies float in space is definitely one of them.
And you feel horrible for Craig because again, he got all his friends killed.
Right, and of course it was just something that he was really struggling with. And Kraglin, like, I feel like in that moment where he's sticking up, like, I feel like Kraglin, when he's voicing his concerns about Yondu, it's less about his personal concerns, and it's more about, like, he knows the tensions that are going on within the crew, and he kind of wants to ease them, you know what I mean? He kind of like, okay, let's address this, let's see if we can come to some sort of consensus on this, and it just goes horribly wrong.
Yeah. And in the end, though, again, kind of like what Yondu kind of puts in people's heads, he does the right thing and follows his heart. He tells, it basically just poor Craig was filmed with a bad crowd, and he comes out of it. And in that way, he's very much like a student of Yondu along with Quill. Again, Quill and Kraglin are kind of like both kind of the closest thing Yondu has to kind of kids in a way. So yeah, I always kind of like that Quill. I really would love to see more. I would love to see more with Quill and Kraglin in the future.
Oh, I definitely think we're going to get more with Quill and Kraglin in Volume 3. I think we might get a good brotherly dynamic there. Because I think we're already very much leaning towards that. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the movie, they feel like estranged brothers that are coming together.
Maybe, yeah. Again, that'd be definitely some good territory. See, assuming he's with the Guardians team and not the other Guardians team. We'll, more on that later. Well, actually, let's touch on that a little bit with, I guess, the Ravagers then, right?
Yeah, let's touch on the Ravagers. Yeah, yeah.
So, of course, just a few memorable ones before we hit upon the important ones. We have Taserface.
Taserface.
It's like kind of ridiculous and over the top. Basically, the reason Taserface is in this movie is because James Gunn just wanted to take some of the most ridiculous, obscure comic characters and make them Ravagers.
Oh God! So his name in the comic is actually Taserface.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love
that. That's really just him. Like James Gunn, really, and that's kind of the thing. Honestly, I think out of all the Marvel directors, I think he's the one who's gone for the most obscure comics references. James Gunn.
Oh well, yeah, absolutely. Like pretty much by definition with this series, yeah.
Right. Because again, he is kind of he's on the super outskirts, so he can pretty much anything goes. So yeah, of course he had Taserface. I remember one thing I will say about Taserface is going into this movie again. I try to avoid as much as I could in terms of spoilers, but the marketing, a lot of the pops and like the little the Dorbs and stuff, like the little cutesy kind of bobblehead stuff they put out. I kept the few character names come out. Of course, I never looked into the characters, so I wouldn't be kind of spoiled like who they may or may not be or what they're kind of known for. Taserface kept coming up. I was wondering what the heck. So I guess Taserface. I initially thought Taserface was that Ravager gets kind of thrown up into the air in the trailer, but no, Taserface just
right.
It's just this weird. The guy who looked like he had like a taser pattern on his face. This Taserface looks.
And of course, it's just great how much delight and malice Rocket takes in this.
Oh yeah, this Taserface is such a ridiculous concept of Rocket. As you mentioned, he's unmerciful. Says, "Hey, it'll be a good name, Taserface."
And also the moment with the Sovereign as well.
The Sovereign thing, I think, is a priceless payoff for all the Taserface stuff. I don't care if anyone agrees. I liked it. just seeing the uptight Sovereign just completely lose it just at the name Taserface.
Right.
is fun. Also, one of my favorite, there are tons of small, a lot of them are pulled from the comics, and this one I'm not sure if he's from the comic. This one just like he's thrown in there. Jeff, the one who wants to throw a rocket Groot. Jeff, he has he has a beard and these Coke bottle glasses. So he's got a memorable motif. So I like a lot of them do kind of stick out visually. Let's see. Now let's move on to the important ones. Our original Guardians, who in this iteration of it, they all stem from Ravagers.
Now, of course, Stallone being the main one. Dragon, is it weird that I legitimately did not know that Stallone was in this movie?
Yeah, I think I was going to tell you once, but I said, nah, that maybe he knows me. He doesn't want to know.
Yeah, I mean, somehow I have that. That was one of the most impressive. Oh, holy crap! I can't believe I avoided that spoiler.
Here's the thing: I knew Stallone was rumored to be in the movie. Then I heard there was speculation he was going to be a part of the Nova Corps, he was going to be part of the Ravagers. So that's pretty much okay. I don't know what's going to happen. I get a sense that he most likely will be in the movie. So
okay.
Just we'll see who he's going to be. What I don't know. So then, in the coming months, basically, he and Michael Rosenbaum are the two I've heard that were going to be in the movie in some capacity. So, yeah. You want to just go through the rest of them when we get to the post-grad stuff, or just want to just kind of address Stallone right here?
I guess we can. Yeah, well, I guess really quick with Stallone, I love the moment with Yondu. You might think that I take pleasure in exiling you, but you broke all our hearts. Dragon, I gotta say, that is Rocky 1 level Stallone acting right there. He's giving it its all. He's putting emotion into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. And it's definitely kind of heartbreaking to see one of Yondu's kind of mentors here, this guy.
You
gotta remember,
I think we can.
You gotta remember the idea. You have to remember the idea is that this guy essentially was the Yondu. I know we kind of went. This kind of the Yondu to. Yondu was taken in much like Quill was taken in. So this is essentially like Yondu telling Quill, you disappointed me. Essentially, it's kind of the crux of that scene.
Right.
All right.
Okay, I think we can, like you said, I think we can touch on the other stuff in the post-credits. So let's get to the Sovereign.
Oh, yes, the Sovereign. Sovereign was a cool idea, I thought. I
love these guys, Dragon. I unabashedly, they are so much fun. I love how they turned on each other through the movie. Like, they have this great kind of like subtle arc where their society is kind of slowly sort of crumbling as the movie goes on, and they get more and more petty.
The Sovereign strikes me good on many levels. Aside from the comedy you're pointing out, the comedy is great. Is how they keep like they're so perfect. So like,
of course, I love that bit. I love the bit at the beginning where they're approaching the Ravagers, and they have that carpet rolled up. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And I just love Yano just kind of looking around. It's the most ridiculous thing he's ever seen. but yeah, seriously though, just looking at Sovereign on kind of a conceptual level here. The Sovereign essentially the Sovereign differ from the comics a little bit. I'm not sure if there's a race called the Sovereign, but basically they're the group that Aisha is the leader of the Sovereign. Now, basically, she connects to a race called the. I'm not super. Remember, the Guardians like kind of branches in the really obscure part of the MCU. So I'm not
sure.
From what I just kind of glimpsed and kind of compiled, it's basically the Enclave. The Enclave was an alien scientist group that usually has runs with the Incredible Hulk. They create monsters for the Incredible Hulk to face. But Aisha. She's part of a group that essentially breeds Adam Warlock. So again, she's the flip side of Adam Warlock. She's the she version of Adam Warlock. That's kind of the point of her. So they kind of mix some stuff together. So the Enclave, like they construct people, they build people. So they kind of mix that idea, I guess, with kind of the Adam Warlock stuff. I believe.
I mean, I appreciate that because the MCU has always been really good at like taking stylistic choices and like really applying them in something that'll fit the story and something that doesn't necessarily have to be 100% accurate to the comic book.
Exactly. If you want to be real technical, Yondu, for example, Yondu in this they have some great.
Yondu's way different than he was in the comic.
Yes, if you look at this with Yondu, he's in the backstory. He's a Kree in this. In the comics, he's not a Kree. He's some other alien race. But again, you don't need to be super specific. They kind of simplified. Exactly. Basically, blue people are all Korea. They kind of simplify, which I appreciate. So.
It's kind of like you and Adventure Blue Dude.
Yeah, sure. So with the Sovereign, though, what I really do love about the idea is I love this. Captain Logan and some other people point this out. I think it's something I never considered, but I do kind of agree that they were kind of the parody of the Man of Steel Kryptonians. But what I really
in a way, yes.
But without factoring in there's looking at it for what it is, I really do love, especially on the rewatch, how this holds up. That everyone is valuable and they have a purpose at birth. So it feeds in this great idea. This is why they're all drone ships they're flying, because they don't want to have any of their men killed.
Sure.
Because again, they all have a destined purpose. These are all like project. Everyone's a project to get to the most perfected. Basically, get to an Aisha.
Yeah, and let's talk about those drone ships, Dragon, because I truly think that first of all, it's like Galaga, man.
Yes. Well, I just love that. I didn't pick up on the Galaga thing on the first watch. I just picked up on the video game thing, which was hysterical.
But I'm just saying, like, the movement of the ships and the pattern of the ships and the way that they kind of swarm in, like, the insect-like pattern. Like, look, I played a lot of Galaga in my time.
Right. I'm just saying, given the video game effect, I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually James Gunn making a Galaga reference from the Avengers. I wouldn't be surprised.
And yeah, exactly. The Avengers, it ties into the MCU. Oh, and also, Dragon, importantly, Pac-Man is in this movie, right? Spoiler alert.
Yes.
And Galaga is another famous Namco property behind Pac-Man. So there's another connection there.
It's so fun to kind of like look at the kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing with the Sovereign. Like, yeah, these guys take themselves so seriously, but they don't realize the absurdity of things here and there.
But I gotta say, man, that space battle at the beginning is just fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah. They're taking it's like how deadly stealing batteries from these people are, because just when they took the Annual X batteries, they're so okay, they must die to set an example. They do not steal batteries.
And of course, I love the arcade culture that develops out of that. Like when they're in the pods, how certain people like will lose, and then like they'll crowd around other people, and the other people will, the ones that are doing really good will become like the heroes in the moment. But then as soon as they fail, one of my favorite favorite gags in the movie is like, "Wow, you really suck, Psylocke."
which is really funny. And again, the setup of that whole thing is really clever because I love that when basically there are 2 times in the movie the ships get wiped out, we get to see like this great shot, like all the screens going red. It's a great way to build ego.
Yeah.
Real quick. So again, I love the whole desk. They're all the design work on them is great. Just how they're all kind of painted gold and everything. Just like they have really, like that when Aisha gets up, like her headpiece is part of the throne. It's like she's destined to be on that throne. It's like really cool stuff. We'll get into the score later on, but the drone ships, all really cool ideas and stuff. Where comedy, just this perfectionist race, and just the world building on the Sovereign scene, I thought was really interesting. I would like to see more of just. It's a fascinating societal thing, which we'll get into more with the post-credit scene and everything else. Sure. So.
All right, let's get to the man of the hour. Let's get to Mr. Star. Ego, the living planet.
Yes. Right. So, of course, Kurt Russell's Ego. He's wonderfully charismatic, and since he genuinely fell in love with Meredith Quill.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of complexity to this guy, obviously. I feel like the action scene, while probably one of the slower paced scenes in the movie, is very artfully done. Like, I love kind of the aesthetic of, like, the wax sculpture showcasing.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how to feel about that. It's kind of cool, but I'm just saying, though, the mannequin thing kind of weirds me out.
I like it because I like how abstract it is, and it fits in with the aesthetic of Ego's planet and how abstract the rest of the planet is.
I mean, it's cool. I'm just saying I'm not sure how I personally feel. I don't know. It's kind of like the lacking of features is kind of weird, but you're right, though. It's cool. It's real well expressed. I like how we keep like closing the ship, and then we have like the next frame of it or whatever is going on.
Sure. And yeah, I do feel like Ego is a very, very effective villain in the MCU. I really think he's up there with the best of them.
I really lost it when we got this great reference. I thought it was a brilliant way to go with Egos. That I'm not sure if he technically I think he constitutes, but he's like a low-level version of this. And just I knew nothing. I really knew nothing about Ego, to be quite honest. I knew the genesis of like the sentient planets. There are a few sentient planets in comics. There are a few sentient planets in comics, and basically, the confirming that he was a Celestial, I think, was a brilliant move. Basically, that's sort of the God thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the idea that he has kind of like this avatar that takes his physical form, but then the rest of the planet is also him. It's very trippy. It's very kind of Star Trek-esque, and it also fits very well with the kind of James Gunn weird, trippy sci-fi aesthetic that he's going for with the series in general.
Yeah. And I'm saying with the Celestial thing, it's built in so well into the first movie because we've seen a Celestial nowhere was like this big ominous Celestial, was like a giant decapitated Celestial head. So this is like another version of Celestial, which is Star-Lord's father. Which again, I just love the fact that we kind of explain Star-Lord, where that comes from.
right.
Again, like half God and from the stars, very much like Ego.
Let me say straight up, the best moment with Ego is the playing catch.
That is fantastic. So with that, so again, we have these very fatherly conversations and bonding with the catch. Really, and this is what I'm talking about, the charisma, is that with Ego, I just love it's kind of a twofold thing. You have like this darker connotation on the rewatch, but
of course.
Seemingly, it's this really beautiful moment where Kurt Russell just has like nothing but enthusiasm when he initially creates the ball in his hand the first time before he gets scared and he goes, he's like, "Oh yes!"
right.
His nose filled with such pride, but of course on the rewatch, you realize, oh my god, that's confirmation that I can use this kid as a battery.
Exactly. Yeah.
Battery.
Which again, I feel like this movie has a lot of layers and it's just structured incredibly well.
Yes, and just kind of looking on kind of the irony abounding. Here's the namesake. His ego. His ego is that he has this great purpose, and I'm saying what drives his evil plan, the evil reveal. That he's trying to kind of conquer the universe in his image. Less conquer is more. He sees humanity as like a disappointment. Like honestly, what I think is, and it's really interesting. There's so many ways you can interpret ego, so we don't get too lost in it. Is that I think it's that. Ego, he seeks out humanity. He shows up in the universe one day. What's out there? Kind of like Ultron did in Age of Ultron, to be honest with you. He just kind of shows up one day. And just kind of he seeks everything out. I'm not trying to.
Isn't it weird that his backstory sort of reminded me of Lava in a way? I mean, think about it.
I didn't really see that.
No. Think about it. Think about it. He's alone for like thousands, if not millions of years, just kind of like at the bottom of the sea, in this case in space. And then he uses the power of music to find a loved one.
I guess, yeah, I kind of see it. Anyway, with the
Oh, I'm sorry.
let me think, where was I? Right, it just kind of shows up. He just kind of shows up. He's seeking out humanity. He kind of finds just like humanoids, kind of like other plants and everything, and he just kind of disappointed by the fact that it's all temporary. And of course, when he just keeps seeking something, he's kind of saying it like if humanity isn't just kind of boiled down to certain things. He meets Meredith, and it just with Quill's mom. He genuinely, I love that he genuinely falls in love with her. And basically, it's his ego. If he has this great purpose in the world, mixed with the fact that he can't love this flashback that he's having in the beginning with her forever. He can't live this existence with her forever because she's gonna get old and she's gonna die. And his ego is that he's putting her out of her misery by killing her, before she should go. And that's his kind of his twisted sense of kind of mercifulness. Again, he's just so disappointed with the fact that you humans are mortal, which kind of leads to the selfish overreaction of killing her with the brain tumor.
Which I love how he just doesn't even at that point, like again playing into the ego thing. At that point, he doesn't even realize what he's saying and how that's going to affect Peter. You know?
Well,
what
he
I mean?
says it sounds bad. And I think that's him.
No, I know, but he just kind of has to take a moment and be like, "Shit, I said too much," Because of course Peter has that great moment, Dragon.
Let's not dwell on that moment too much.
I'm sorry. I just love how the moment plays. I'm like, what?
Yes. Yeah, is again, like he's just looking at it, it's like, well, I think they had the scene going. If this, he would have brought up the fact that, well, I was doing her a favor. She's gonna pass away at like another kind of like 30, 40 years anyway.
Right.
So he, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, he's using kids as batteries, which is psychotic. Sam, again, this guy's he's using people to serve his own means because he believes.
Again, really dark stuff in this movie, like that cave full of skeletons. It's just like, wow, he's been through a lot of bodies.
Yeah, and you have this really dark question on the rewatch too with him. Is you have to question how much of him bonding with Peter was the sales pitch. How much of that is kind of he's. It's like we're taking the loving father and we're adding this creepy idea of, and what if it took trial and error to get him to that place?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's like, what if he eventually turned out like he could be like the best father ever, but it took him like he had to go through like God knows how many kids to get to that point though.
Sure.
That's a horrifying idea, and the fact that he looks at like they're gonna be killed anyway because they're not celestials like me. Again, if they're celestial or half celestial, they'll be immortal like me, and I can impart my wisdom. And again, he didn't want to just use Peter as a battery, but again, it's the fact that he's just manipulating him on some level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, I think that's about it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you want to transition into the music?
Certainly.
Okay, well, you definitely have more to say about the score, so do you want to start there before we transition into the songs?
Yeah, sure, real quick. So with the score, we have Tyler Bates doing the score. Of course, he's done the score to the first Guardians movie, as well as stuff like Watchmen and some various other projects. I think he does a really good job. I don't know if it measures up to the score of the first Guardians movie. I mean, I enjoyed the score. I enjoyed both scores. I like the difference in this score. The difference in this score is that, we have we bring back the Guardians theme from the first movie, which is definitely the best thing that he did on that movie. But we add more of kind of that choir sound we got a little bit of in the first Guardians. I mean, that was like a little bit more kind of bigger in scale when we hear kind of the Guardians theme being played or tied into kind of these big kind of.
I hear you. Yeah.
And the two tracks I want to bring up just real quick, the two kind of themes in the movie that really just kind of really struck a chord with me is one, the Eternity sound, the Eternity score, which is essentially, I think it's called the Expansion. I think it's the actual track's name, but it's basically this is the bit that I always kind of, there are two bits that send chills down my spine in the theater. Both it. So Eternity, I call that's when he shows Peter the grand design of his plan. That's right before he snaps out of the thing. It's like you have the effect on Chris Pratt's eyes where he basically, and this is a theory, bear in mind. I theorize he's seeing another Celeste, kind of the grand design, which might be in line with Eternity, who is kind of one of the big players in Infinity War, possibly. That's a possible point. Is he's just seeing the grand design, whatever beautiful kind of end goal Ego has, which he's just seeing like basically like infinite universe of control and ego, kind of playing ground for ego, and just like that big build of score there, it's just like. And he weeps at the beauty. It's a little bit like he has tears streaming down his face.
Yeah, that's very effective. Yeah.
I'm saying that mixed in with that score is like you can imagine he's seeing something beautiful. However, we don't see it. I just love to get a glimpse of it through the eyes of like this ego's grand design, and like he actually might sell Peter on it just based on that. Mm-hmm. So then, of course, the other one.
Again, if Ego would have like kept his ego in check and maybe kept his mouth shut about certain things, this would have gone down a lot differently.
He was overconfident that Peter was instantly sold to his side. He didn't. He thought he could say anything at that point. The other one, this one was I keep find myself listening to this one. I had to find it when I got home after a second watch. The Sovereign theme. I love the Sovereign theme, which is called again weirdly out of left field, the Mantis touch. But I
know this is so weird.
I guess because it just makes you feel things. But this, honestly, to me, this
also. Could that be a play on the term the golden touch? Like the Midas touch?
Maybe. I could see that.
Okay. I think I'm onto something there. Anyways,
I found like that one just, I don't know, just really so intriguing and so kind of weirdly moving. Just basically it's kind of like the Adam Warlock build theme. It's kind of, we have it in two very strategic places. Adam Warlock a little later on, we'll get there. But the opening, like again, another thing I want to say about the Sovereign is connected to this because I kind of forgot to mention this during the Sovereign. I'm so great at the Sovereign is that the Sovereign connects to Peter Quill's art. It's such a great way to start off his arc because he's going to be looking into his parentage and the fact that we bring this up in kind of this opening Guardians adventure. It's kind of a nice way to kick off our story and kind of to get him to the ego place. And we have that great. The score first plays. It only plays in two places in the movie. It plays here when she's mentioning you're half something else, aren't you? And it's kind of that sad bit for Star-Lord, just kind of mentioning, well, he's not from Missouri. He doesn't know. It's like a really just kind of like such a serious moment in a Guardians movie in scores. It really grabs you. It's like this. It sends kind of like this intrigue. It's weird. It's like a seductive chill up your spine. Like, oh, you gotta know more.
Sure.
Really good. That overall, it's kind of score. It's a deeply emotional score. Really pleased by it.
All right, let's go through some of the songs, right? Of course, we don't have time to touch on all of them, but let's go through some highlights.
Of course, Brandy. Brandy is definitely important.
Brandy is obviously, like, I think Brandy is the equivalent to Hooked on a Feeling.
That'd be fair, yes.
Yeah, like, it's the song that, like, really weaves its way throughout the whole narrative. I absolutely love the way Kurt Russell just quotes it in that great scene, and that might be Ego's best scene, I think, is when he's talking about Brandy. Yeah,
that's kind of that bonding scene right there. It's just in dialogue between the two of them.
And of course, I love the trivia that Kevin Smith regaled with us with this week about that's how he named the love interest in Mallrats was through this song.
And again, this song it bonds Star-Lord and Ego together, but also plays as kind of the it plays during the low of lows moment for Star-Lord. We hear it in these really strategic. We have it in the opening, we have it when they're bonding, and we have it when their relationship sours. Like three very strategic places we hear Brandy play.
Yeah, it's just a very effective kind of device, and I just think lyrically it fits very well with not just Ego, but also Peter's arc of Peter being the fisherman, you know what I mean, and kind of being out to sea, and of course out to sea in this case being space. So
again, being the kid who grew up in space.
So really effective stuff there.
So Mr. Blue, real quick. So Mr. Blue,
God,
one
so
I really do love this song. There are like 3 ELO songs I really love, and this is one of them. And because I've seen it's played in various things like CSI, Megamind. I've seen it like a bunch of plays, and I've always kind of liked it when they play the scene over sequences. Honestly, when I heard, as much as I've always supposed like what songs are going to be in the movie, this one kind of slipped, and it's like, hey, Mr. Blue's going to be there. I just figured it was going to be Yondu's introduction, but no, we started the movie right off the bat with Mr. Blue, which I still think that's kind of a missed opportunity because it'd be the perfect Yondu intro if you ask me. But regardless, it's kind of. It was a neat song to start with. So again,
this is a brilliant directorial choice on James Gunn's part. Like what a way to start the movie. Just like it's so cocksure of itself.
We
you know
get
what I mean?
all the adorable kind of baby Groot dancing stuff out of the way, and then in the opening.
Yeah, and also it's like I love the fact that this epic space battle is going on in the background, and this isn't the only time this happens in the movie. Keep in mind, Dragon, another one of your favorite moments that happens late in the movie, also takes advantage of this use of kind of like focusing in on one specific thing going on while there's this crazy battle going on behind them, but you're not really zeroed in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really great camera work, really just fun, inventive way to set up the film. I like how that sequence shows all the characters sort of reacting to Baby Groot. It's a good way to kind of get a sort of a speedy, like up to speed on how the characters are handling each other. Just really good stuff there. Okay, let's see. I really like the Southern Nights. That's the song where Rocket is. I love, first of all, I love the trap that Rocket sets up with the speakers.
Yes.
That's really good, and again, it kind of speaks to Rocket being a big fan of Quill's music.
So something to mention just about the music and just we're talking about it. Just also the implementation of the music, something we should kind of touch on. Is that I love that we introduced the idea. I love that it's explained somewhat, because I was still wondering going into this movie and they didn't answer my question, but at least we had some reference to the volume 1. Is that unfortunately, I was still dying to know if like Quill has Volume 1 on cassette, because we don't know if like that was recovered from the Ronin
right
or not.
Right.
It was playing during the scene, but when the Infinity Gem got used, they don't know if it got destroyed or not.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, I love the idea of cloning in the music. So the idea is like they've kind of downloaded like a song, and they've kind of basically that's how like Rocket or the Ravagers can have Quill's music without
sure.
Basically one of course the some come a little bit closer. That sequence, that's the Yondu.
Oh my god,
that's an excellent sequence. And
again, centerpiece of the whole film. Just the visuals and the music come together so incredibly well.
And honestly, I think that's probably again Brandy is plot irrelevant. The short of Brandy, I think Come is probably the best song in the movie used.
I would say so. Yeah.
And again, I love it. The idea that song is from the Volume 1 cassette tape, because that's the only way they would have access to that song. They cloned it from the original cassette tape.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I also Dragon, of course. I'm going to gush about the ending more when we get into favorite scenes, but the father and son song used at the ending is just it gets me, man. It's a gut punch.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Just not for me personally. Not every song is a winner like the first volume. That's what I'm coming down on. I think we had some great songs here, but I think the first one's like everything is just kind of so perfectly chosen. I think just kind of integrates really good. Maybe it's because the first time we're seeing it. Maybe I don't know. I just think it's. I like. In addition, I just like the methods of getting it. Maybe I like the methods of getting it in the first one because we're introduced to Willie and he's got the cassette tapes. We assume he's just playing it as we're getting into each scene.
Mm-hmm.
Here they're stretching a little bit more of like how we're getting it. Sometimes I like it when it's better explained than it's just playing, because when it is plays, it feels like we're just cashing out like, hey, we did this in the first movie, we're going to do it here again.
Right.
And it just feels like the song choices might have been a little better in the first one, because some of the songs we're mentioning I'm liking more like Mr. Blue, Brandy, come a little bit closer, and I like the credit songs. I love all the credit songs.
Like, did you not like the Cat Stevens song at the end?
Is that Father and Son? You gotta give me a title.
Well,
that's the thing. Father and Son, it was okay. If it compared to the Marvin Gaye song at the end of the first one, it does not hold a candle, if you ask me.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree.
See, it's okay. I'm just saying that's just a taste thing. I can't hold it against it.
Yeah, it's a taste thing for sure, because I love Cat Stevens, and that, oh god, it really did it for me.
Based on the music alone, I would get more emotion with the Marvin Gaye with that ending versus that. Just based on the music, I'm not saying what's happening in the scene, just based on that music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. Like I said, Southern Nights. I love the music when the Ravagers are getting hoisted up into the air over and over again. That's really fun. Let's see.
Something to notice: all the music in this is mostly. There might be one or two exceptions, but I can tell you for the most part, it's all '70s music. Right,
yeah, and I feel like that's very appropriate with the time period with Ego, and also just stylistically, I feel like this movie, it's a lot more laid back and chill than Awesome Mix Volume 1, you know what I mean?
Yes, two things to mention. So I want to only highlight some of the credit songs I really liked.
Okay.
The use of "Surrender" I thought was good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Brought back some daddy daycare memories, but "Surrender." But honestly, the song is really loved, and I just love they kind of worked it in there somewhat. It's the idea it's on. Idea it's on the it could, but now it's probably on the Zoom, but regardless. Flashlight. Love they use flashlight.
Right.
No, it's not just playing on the fact that I enjoy when flashlights are used in movies
Oh
and stuff.
God.
It's the fact that I love the song. I'm saying it's really catchy.
Really quick, I think the best moment of music meeting visuals in the whole film is during the My Sweet Lord segment where Drax pops the bubble and the bubble explodes into like all the rainbow bubbles and you get that build in the song. The way that the music and the visuals just harmonize in that moment is beautiful to me. It gives me chills. Okay.
One other thing to mention before we move on is let's talk about the Zoom.
The Zune is a fantastic it's just a natural progression, right? Because at the end of the first movie you got Awesome Mix Volume 2 and now Awesome Mix Volume 3 is going to be an MP3 playlist. It's great.
It would be kind of neat. You think it'd be kind of neat if they called it like volume 300?
No,
I'm just saying 300 songs. I mean, I believe
I think they should just stick to Volume 3. I mean, I don't know.
Anyway, so just with the Zoom, though, again, the Zoom, you're right, that was a brilliant kind of move. And it's like that where it's still an outdated piece of technology he's using, just like a little bit more.
Exactly. That's what's so fun about it.
But it is really nice. That's like Yondu's last gift to him, is that he knew how much the kid liked music, so he found the Zoom for him if he ever came back to the fold. Which is really and it's the idea that he came across that while they were in Guardians 1 when they were really on the outs. He still did something nice for Peter, so it was really nice little there. Yeah, Zoom was really cool move.
Okay,
I was so crushed when he lost the
I know.
So I'm so glad he got something.
I think we're about ready to move on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to pros and cons. All right.
Let's see. We embraced the obscurity, and like we had some deep cut. We had some deep cut comic pulls, some of the stuff with the Sovereign, of course, the world building. We have planets like obviously Ego, Contraxia, Bearheart. These are all planets from the comics, and like stuff like Yondu getting the fin. I mean, all that really great stuff. And Yondu getting the fin was just really awesome. And so,
sure.
And that also kind of spelled the Zoom like, hey, we're doing stuff that super links up with the comic, just to make sure we at least got it on screen before he passed.
Yeah, I just think the movie just has a very, very good energy to it. I think it had pacing problems the first time I saw it that kind of ironed out the more I see it, because the more I see it, the more all the scenes kind of connect to each other in a way, and I feel like the movie does a really good job with that, of balancing all the characters and making sure all the characters like tie into each other character's arc.
I might kind of disagree with you a little when we get to the cons on that, but I see what you're saying. I like that we're not repeating the same movie. I have a theory on that because Nicole Perlman co-wrote the first movie. Now, Nicole Perlman, she comes from essentially Marvel Studios, has somewhat of like a writing college within it. I'm not sure how exactly that works. The point is they have writers that are kind of trained to write in the Marvel style. And Nicole Perlman, Nicole Perlman did not. Sorry,
she didn't return.
Yeah, she didn't return to the second one. Now she's slated. She's the one who is the reason we have the Guardians movie, because she picked the Guardian. Well, that we have it where we have it now because she picked the project. She worked on it before James Gunn did, and she now is going to be Interestingly, she's going to be working on the Captain Marvel movie coming up in the future, because she was offered a whole bunch of obscure Marvel properties, and she picked the Guardians before that, but that was kind of the next on the docket for her to do. So I'm saying that's why I think that's why we don't have the. I think that's why we don't have the MacGuffin subplot going on. I think it's why we're kind of getting out of kind of the classic Marvel style the first one was in, which I did appreciate and I still like. But the fact that we're going more James Gunnian is probably because we lost Nicole Perlman. Yeah,
but like I said, I think the James Gunn style of it all is what I really adore about this movie. I think.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think because maybe she's not working on me, that's why we got more Gunn influence on there.
Sure. Okay, I just think in general this movie is just like freaking fantastic to look at. the CG in the movie is surreal enough that it doesn't take you out of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a great mix of like really surreal and eye-popping, like eye candy CG mixed with really cool kind of practical stuff. I love the practical goo that we get, like the green blood that comes out of the monster at the beginning. You know what I mean?
That monster does look fantastic. All the rows of teeth, and we were losing our stuff over this when we saw it in the trailer. Just like how well the lighting is on that thing, and
right.
And I just love the shot. I appreciate it a lot more on the big screen. Just when Drax is just jumping down you see him like jump right down the throat of it.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, just with I love this little effect here when the thing like kind of breathes. I love the fire effect we do get in this movie. Maybe they didn't have the ability to do in the first movie. Is that we had like this rainbow color for flames, like the exhaust of the ships, and when this thing breathes fire, it's like this multicolored kind of kaleidoscopy breath.
In general, this movie looks like Skittles.
It does.
So many, like, there's just a plethora of a rainbow of colors in this movie, and I love it.
Yondu's incinerated by Skittles.
Oh God, right.
That's what I'm saying. I just think it was like a cool little effect. You know, we're kind of doing great with not only the design but the makeup as well. Because I mean, with Gamora's little side note here, I don't know if they had this again. The Gamora makeup looks even better on the in this one because you have like this. She has in the comics, she's famous for having like these big old yellow things around her eyes, which she doesn't have in the movies. But in this one, I don't know if they had this in the first one. I just didn't notice, but it's really subtle, especially in all the close-ups. You get to see it now. Is that she has little yellow around the eyes, just like in the comic. Which I gotta tell you, I don't know if it's they added or not, but it's showcased a lot even better. It's fantastic. It's great. It's on your face and it's there.
Let's see. Like I said, I just think all the characters get their justice, from the small ones to the major players.
Well, speaking of the face thing, I also say we have a more Lola face technology on Kurt Russell, which looked amazing.
Oh God,
we de-aged him. We keep de-aging people. You know, we start off with Michael Douglas, and we super age Haley Atwell. We de-age Michael Douglas.
It's super ridiculous.
De-age Robert Downey Jr. Oh boy. So Marvel. Let's see. So of course, as casting for our new guys was right on the money. I got it was gutsy killing Yondu. Very gutsy move killing Yondu.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it is the most, like, bar none, the most effective death in the MCU. I think it has the most weight to it out of any character that's ever been killed off.
The mixture of heart and humor, as well as the move to evolve our characters, it was really, of course, really smart move. The Stan Lee theory being confirmed.
It's canon now, folks. It is finally canon.
And what this, again, the big thing is that this opens the door to if they ever wanted to kind of say all Stan Lee cameos, period, are So this is kind of, it's
it
a way in.
It could just be infinite universes. You know what I mean? It could be like a multiverse.
Well, this has to be. Well, here's what I can tell you. So just analyze it for a moment.
Okay.
This movie takes place in 2014, and Stan Lee makes mention, or Stan Lee Watcher informant guy, makes reference to Civil War, which takes place 2 years after, which implies this at the very least the location where the Watchers are, because the idea is like Yondu and all their guys, they're flying past them. They're going through like basically a Doctor Strange, and we're also tying a little bit of Doctor Strange for.
That's another fantastic sight gag right there. Is like the morphing faces.
Yeah, no, but we're kind of with Doctor Strange. Of course, we have like the infinite universe thing.
Sure.
Multiple universes, and basically when they go into this hyperdrive, they're jumping dimensions and stuff. That kind of implies that, much like Doctor Strange, we're kind of seeing a few of those universes along the way. So there's like this pocket dimension where all the Watchers gather around and listen to Stan Lee stories. Like, okay, what do you got to report? Because again, the Watchers can't interfere, but this guy can. This was it's like Stanley's supposed to be a celebrity of these guys, but they eventually get tired of him. I guess they're like, okay, it's enough.
Right. Oh gee.
Yeah, I love it. Stan, like one of the best Stan Lee cameos, to be honest with you. Because again,
easily one of the best.
Again, essentially the fans wrote this one, which makes it instantly really cool. But
honestly, the only Stan Lee cameo that I think even comes close to this is the Big Hero 6 one.
That's a good one. So it's confirming that they're all the same guy.
Oh man, that's crazy. That just means that we have to go back and just watch all the Marvel movies again, just with that in mind. Oh,
And possibly
good job,
all the
Marvel.
other Stan cameos are that same guy
God.
too, which means again we've cracked the door open a little smidge, if we ever wanted to go into Sony, and which we've already gotten to Sony, if we ever want to get the Fox.
Yep.
We cracked the door a little bit. It's
Okay.
a little opening, a little sliver of light. So let's see. Of course, the theme of family, making the Guardians kind of the go from friends to family. Not being in your face with the Infinity War stuff. It's there, but it's not in your face.
I appreciated that so goddamn much. You have no idea.
Yep. We have a very interesting villain, of course. Like one who's he's kind of that figure who's kind of built the trust.
At least in the top 5 of MCU villains, I would say.
Oh yeah, and even our generic villains are still fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Sovereign, of course, Sovereign.
Right. The Sovereign were so much more fun than I thought they would be based on the trailer.
Yep. I love the credits. Honestly, I think it's probably the best credits in the MCU. I'll give them that. Best credits in the MCU.
They're like a short film unto itself. You know what I mean?
A series of short films, yes.
No, I'm saying just the way that the whole credits are put together, like the aesthetic of it, and like like the yearbook quality to it. It's just everything is so good about those credits.
I guess less this overall very well written story and story and dialogue. Story and dialogue is really good in this.
Okay. Yeah, I could keep going on about how much I like this movie, but let's get into some cons. Okay, yeah. So
I'm sorry, just real quick, just because we mentioned Stanley being in Watcher for. What did you think of the Watcher seeing him?
I mean, I'd seen him. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know.
I'm saying Watchers are a big deal. I just want to get kind of the layman's reaction.
I hate, to tell you the truth, I kind of, that's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when people say, like, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, geez, if I give you a reaction that's disappointing, then you're going to be disappointed. So it's
all right.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was glad to see him, and I hope.
I was glad to see him too. It was great. I'm just I don't really have anything to add about like my story of seeing him, but anyways.
All right. Okay, moving on to cons.
Cons.
Con.
I do think that at certain points the comedy becomes a little sitcom-esque.
I didn't see a sitcom-esque. I saw it as...
Well, what I mean is, like, I feel like at certain points there's almost a little bit too much of it. Like, Gunn has such a good way of... he's almost got, like, a great rhythm going, right? Like, it's almost like a great guitarist or something, where he has, like, a joke followed by a serious moment, followed by a joke. You know what I mean?
Right, I get you now.
And honestly, I kind of feel like in certain spots in the movie, and again, I love this movie, but in certain spots in the movie, I do feel like it is a little bit too joke-centric when we should be spending a little bit more time on the weight of the scene.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does. For me, let's see, I think the opening's fun. Again, it's well animated, really well staged. Again, like I love how the action looks. Love how the action looks in the background. It's all good stuff. But I do feel it's a little fan service here. Like we're like in this opening. Maybe it's because they're getting out of the system. But I mean, look, even if that's the excuse of like, hey, we're just getting out of our systems for this opening. I mean, it's not a huge peeve. It's not a huge thing against the movie. I'm just saying it's kind of noticeable. In the first, I was better with it on the rewatch, but in the first watch, it was like, yeah, it's a little noticeable.
I don't have that problem with the opening, Dragon. I think the opening is just fresh enough, and they're doing enough new things with it to really sell me on it, while at the same time being very much in the same style as the opening to the first film.
I'm just saying, I'm going to disagree with you big time there, but let's see. We have like bits like the Drax freeze, which again I think, well, Drax knows he's got to know at this point that Groot's animate, so it's kind of like it's put in there specifically. Hey, remember this bit that everyone's losing their mind about during the credits?
That was a member berry right there.
That's what I'm saying. It's just kind of a hey, remember this? Even though Drax should know that he knows that Groot's sentient, so why is it?
Right. I think to me, reading into that scene, I think it was less like hiding the fact that he's sentient and more like hiding the fact that he's goofing off in the middle of the battle.
I don't know.
Does that make more sense to you? I don't know. I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's that, and of course the rodents. The awesome rodents from those weird kind of things they gamble on, but at the same time,
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey, remember these?
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that at all because
there's no reason those should be there at that. Like there should be like
God.
Really? All I'm saying is they seem like really like they had like why the heck are those things at this really kind of fancy
because they're part of the they're part of the universe, Dragon. It's world building.
I'm saying those things should only be like on Morag or someplace. I mean, they gotta be like a very. I'm not saying they have.
I think you're being way too picky with that. I can see what you're saying about the Drax thing, but I think with those things, I think you're being way too picky.
I'm just saying, follow me. It's like we're on the outskirts of this really fancy platform. That's like a power station. Now these things are randomly there at this power station. I don't get that.
They're basically like space rats.
Again, why? Okay, fine. Anyway, so again, also they're kind of recapping like, hey, it's not like Guardian Infinity, so a little on the nose with the references. That's all I'm saying. The opening's really a little on the nose with the like, hey, referencing the stuff from the first movie.
Okay. One of the things that you didn't like that I don't have as much of a problem with, Dragon, is the toilet humor.
Yeah, I had an issue with the bathroom humor.
I don't mind it. Like there's two main instances of it. The whole the famously huge turds bit, which honestly, Dragon, like if I were to like
it's a lazy joke.
If I were to tell that joke on its own, it would be like, yeah, it's not very funny, but I'm sorry, Dave Bautista just sells it. All right. What can you do? I just like Dave Bautista is just so gleeful about it. I don't know. It worked for me. It worked for me just because of the delivery. I understand it's subjective. I'm usually not the type of person to enjoy a joke like that, and it's by no means one of my favorite gags in the movie, but it works fine for me.
Well, look, overall, just connecting to that is that overall Act 1 versus the rest of the movie, and I'm a little better with it on the rewatch, but still, just Act 1 still has a few gags that don't work, or they're, at the very least, they're more divisive. Like the bathroom humor or some of the immature humor. Like, again, we have some anatomy jokes, or some random stuff like like Ego taking a whiz randomly.
I don't mind that either because it's just kind of like shows how
that's a bizarre. I'm saying that's a bizarre eccentric thing, though. I mean, come on, of all the. I understand he's mysterious, all right. I get that, but we really it's a really random cut of just, and he's doing it in front of all the Guardians. Like it's not even going really weird.
I will admit, I'm not crazy about the nipple thing.
Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with the nipple gag. I think that's kind of funny.
Wow. Okay. Well, the subjectivity, Steven Universe is just salivating in the corner. Like, this is such a subjective conversation.
That's the thing, man. That one. I'll give that one a pass. I won't give the bathroom or the whole steering with the thing between your legs gag. It's like that. Come on, that's stretching for a joke.
Oh, the steering between your legs.
That's what I'm saying. Do we really need that? Yeah. Do we need Gamora to make that joke? Come on.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Basically,
it's also the bit with the Sovereign and like, oh, I could show you how I could give you a history lesson. Oh,
here's the thing. That didn't. I'm okay with that because it's very.
So essentially, you and I are like bothered by the opposite sort of anatomy jokes. That's funny.
See, here's the thing. It's with that one. It plays into two things. One of them's thematic. One is it's showing that we know Star-Lord's kind of the ladies' man. He's a Shatner of the galaxy. He's been with a lot of space, and that's what that's connecting to me. Just showing he's got like kind of an animal magnetism in space sort of vibe. And I like the idea. Now we have a story reason for it. That hey, he's part God. That's why he's got it in his blood that his father is like trying to essentially procreating with the entire universe, and that's kind of why he's such the ladies' man in the galaxy.
Sure.
It's in his DNA. So, I mean, then of course we saw that horrifying image, like all the mannequins with like various other alien species.
Oh God! Right.
The ego gets around. Let's say that much. And again, like I'll say this, I'll agree with you with the Bautista thing, not for the bathroom humor, for the anatomy humor later on with the whole so like basically Drax asking basically talking about like, oh, my father would tell the story.
Oh, I love that gag. I think that gag paid off pretty well.
I think that part of it's funnier. His delivery.
Drax is basically the type of person where he's like the friend that embarrasses you, even though you love him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And honestly, where that's coming from, I think that one's definitely honestly that's a funny joke, but I kind of that what's one of the jokes that makes me wonder is, do we really need that in a Guardians movie though? That's hilarious, but do we really need it in a Guardians movie?
I mean, I think Guardians, like you said, like Star-Lord's character in general is kind of like a, he's I mean, I don't want to say he's a sexualized character, but he's a bachelor. It's like one of the first times we see him, he's just got a random space woman in the back of his spaceship.
I don't know. Again, that one. Again, I don't really quite know how to process that one. Again, it's funny. I'll get it. It's funny and delivered well. Just it's kind of like we need to do an anime joke about ego and this. But again, it's the addressment of and and it's quite good. Oh, it's just like Drax's genuine intrigue in that just cracks me up.
Okay.
So let's see.
I honestly I don't know how they would have changed this in terms of the story structure. I wish that Yondu and Peter would have interacted with each other in the first act. I kind of feel like it's a missed opportunity that they only interact in Act 3.
Right, I agree with you there. It would have been nice to see him kind of interact a little bit more. But
and again,
right.
I don't I think the movie flows very well, so I'm not sure how you would get that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. This is an actual problem to me. This one actually is a legitimate problem. We have bad edits. That's a problem. We do have a series of bad edits. I'm not saying it's like something that completely kills me. I'm just saying that it's like a genuine.
After going through what I went through last year with Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad, this thing is like fucking The Social Network compared to those two in terms of editing. All right.
I'm just saying, in the scheme of this movie being really good, it's a thing that's it's apparent that okay, we got some edits here really don't really match up that good. I'm just saying we're missing ends of scenes. It's noticeable is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's like the worst thing ever. I'm just saying in this really great movie, it's kind of like we have to think about this. I watched her die. It's an excellent ending to a scene. What's the follow-up? Next scene.
I don't know. Remind me what the next scene is.
We cut the Yondu and Rocket stuff. I'm just saying that's the intensity of a scene. It's like Star-Lord's got yelling at Ego, like, why did you leave? I watched her die. It's an excellent scene. I want to see what happens next. And then we cut to the next scene.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Again, it's like given the shit pile that we saw last year in terms
that's not a valid argument. That's not valid.
I think it is. I think it is.
How would know that? I'm talking about this movie. Don't bring the other movies into this.
No, I'm just saying by comparison, this is Citizen Kane.
I'm not comparing it to those. I'm comparing it to this movie. What else?
All right, fine. I see your point. It's like, look, I will say that out of all the MCU movies that are over 2 hours long, this one probably could have used the most trimming down.
No, I'm not saying trim it down. It's restructure it.
Well, I think this is the most unnecessary over 2 hour long movie, and I don't know, like with the restructuring, I don't know, Dragon. It's interesting that you bring that up because
I don't see that as
I really don't, and I've watched it 3 times, and I really didn't pick up on bad editing at all. To tell you the truth, I thought the film flowed together just fine.
I understand. It's like they get the really heated conversation, then we just cut back to later on. Okay, well, then he's taking it. He's explaining things later on instead of explaining in the same location. Like we're going somewhere else again. Like I just want to know how that scene ended.
I will say this. Like, yes, on occasion they will like for example, when Yondu and Rocket and Groot and company are bouncing around through all those dimensions, and then we don't cut back to them until maybe 20 minutes later, and it's very jarring. It's like, and suddenly we're back with Rocket and Yondu. You know what I mean? You don't know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I just don't agree. Again, it's more with Star-Lord than with those. Those guys just they're working.
It's a frustrating conversation because it's like every time I try and give a point that I agree with you with, you're like, oh no, I actually like that thing.
Anyway, so
I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just trying to like find common ground here.
Well, I'm saying the way you feel about that, I feel about the ending of the Star-Lord scenes, which kind of bugged me.
All right.
Okay, let's see some. Also, I guess, Gamora and Nebula has the same thing, but it's the whole anyway, so I think this one's very minor. I'm saying I think it's probably my actual just kind of gripe was probably the editing things here and there, but the rest of the things are pretty much minors. We deleted some really fun jokes and moments that were like all the marketing stuff. Like, oh, I would have loved to see those payoffs. I understand they cut them out, but
but at the same time, like I said, I feel like that makes up for it with the fact that we get a lot of payoffs that weren't in the trailer.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it all balances out. I'm just saying, like, I, at the very least, the one thing I would have kept in there is I would have loved. I wanted the hug. I wanted the hug from the trailer because it was so sweet. It was a really nice moment, but they cut out the hug.
Yeah,
I know.
I think it balances itself out.
Right. Let's see. So some songs. I've already went in this, so we don't have to dwell on this. Some songs aren't as naturally worked in as they are in the first one. Again, I'm not saying. Again, we have Brandy is an excellent example of like something really good and that's plot relevant. I'm saying some ones are slated to put in there because hey, we need songs in the movie. We're a little over the top and rushed with Gamora and Nebula stuff. Big thing is that Gamora is very lucky. She found that giant, huge, awesome gun out of nowhere. It was just
right.
I don't get why that gun's there.
I also feel like in the climax, there's a little too many moving parts. Like it almost it's almost like a more well-executed version of Phantom Menace where everyone's got a role and it's a little hard to keep track of. Again, it doesn't nearly fall apart the same way that Phantom Menace does, but I just kind of, you know what I mean? Where like we have Nebula and Gamora on the side of the cliff, and then we have Drax trying to get Mantis to the ship, and we have Rocket and his whole deal. We have Yondu. It's just there's a lot of moving parts there. It gets a little overwhelming trying to keep track of everything.
Yeah. Let's see. There is an issue that's been brought up that I didn't consider still. So I kind of saw like an article or something. It kind of has me over a barrel. Is that when Ego's plan does start to begin when he's tapping the Peter as a battery, like the big old kind of swelling but when Ego takes over, this giant plume of Ego, I guess, is taking over the planet from the plants. Remember, people are dying in those scenes, by the way. I mean, people.
I know.
That's the fact people are more a question of because this is set in 2014. In the 2 years of Marvel movies, this is never addressed. And again, obviously it's not the fault of the filmmakers, but it's like it is a question of the continuity of wait a minute. So no one mentioned this in the other Marvel movies. It's like a retroactive. It's an unfortunate little logic thing. You got.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over that because the Marvel movies are well connected enough. But
remember that time the planet almost got devoured by that mysterious substance? We never looked into it. Yeah, never mind. That's what I'm saying. It's not I'm not saying like the kills the movie or anything. It's something to consider. Like, yeah, in the grand scheme of the Marvel universe, we kind of let that one lie.
Right.
Let's see. The brain thing. It is kind of strange. I wish it was kind of more energy than a brain, but I mean, I didn't mind the brain until I saw it the second time. Like, yeah, the brain's kind of it's a little hard to grasp the fact he just shows up as a brain one day in space. It's like why is a giant brain in the center of the planet? I mean, it's cool looking, but it's like when you think about it, I think that's like it's not something to take against the movie. It's something to consider. Like, shouldn't that have been like a ball? Like, shouldn't it have been like something different than a brain, like human brain?
Mm-hmm.
And I already mentioned the main thing. Yeah, the brain thing's the last point I got to make with the cons. Again, very minor stuff except for maybe the editing, but again, the minor.
Okay.
Even the editing's minor. I'm just saying, it's just the editing's apparent. That's all.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to favorite moments, which we stupidly forgot to discuss beforehand.
Yes.
Can we do two apiece? Because I feel like we've gone through a lot of this movie already. We're kind of, I think we need to wrap up.
I guess.
Oh, God, okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take the ending and then also the, oh, man.
It's like we're playing Battleship, guessing the other one's moments right now.
I know, right? Well, let me just talk about the ending, and then I'll think of what else.
Include the Yondu sacrifice in the ending. At least you take one of my moments down, which is good.
Okay, fine. So, Yeah, so just overall, like I said, the climax is a little messy, but from the Yondu sacrifice forward, the whole wrap up of the film is absolutely beautiful. Of course, we get we get the Great Mary Poppins bit, which is kind of like the last huge burst of comedy before getting into an ending that is full of pathos and full of drama. So, of course, I already mentioned the great line, "He might have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy."
The bit that
Fantastic.
follows that is heartbreaking, though.
Where just great acting on
Chris Pratt.
yeah, where he's just like screaming, "No, no, Yondu." It's like very much kind of a Luke Skywalker, like, "No, no."
Just the fact that he dies right in front of me, just he can't, the fact that he put the oxygen on Peter, put the air pack, and just guys floating in space with his dead mentor.
Yeah, and then of course I think everything on the ship at the end is just absolutely beautiful, Dragon. I really feel like,
and this one, I'm sorry to take you on.
No, yeah, I just really feel like just the visuals, the music, it just it comes together perfectly. It's absolutely perfect in my mind.
Bidden the Yondu scene. Bidden the Yondu scene that I think this is what the beginning does a little bit more on the nose, but I think they did just right with Yondu is that we have all the knickknacks put next to it.
I love that. Yeah.
That's the bit where I think that's what I want, like the subtle callbacks to the first one, like that.
And then, of course, I love the payoff to the Hasselhoff thing. I guess he was my Hasselhoff all along, and I never really knew it.
David Hasselhoff must be really happy with this movie.
And my God, Dragon, just how beautiful is it? The Ravager funeral. It's one of my favorite things that the MCU has ever put to film, I think. I really do. Of course, it's all like fireworks and, again, a little Galaga thrown in there a little bit. Kind of very colorful, very bright. I love how Kraglin is just like freaking out with joy and pride, and he's just like over the moon about it. I love the softer moments, like you said, like we mentioned, Baby Groot and Star-Lord listening to music, and then Gamora passing off Baby Groot to Drax. It's just all so good. And then, of course, Dragon, the moment that just the gut punches, the tears in Rocket's eyes at the end. It's like, what a visual to go out on.
And we see Yondu's body turn into kind of beautiful space dust, and then Rocket sheds a tear. How could you get better than that?
All right. Dragon, I think for my second moment, I'm just going to quickly expand on what I like about the Sovereign Galaga scene, because I just think that moment is just really just incredibly kinetic and really well put together and creative. First of all, I love how Rocket, he's just so gung-ho at the start, like, let's kill some dudes. Ha, 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 ha. He's like almost psychopathic in a way. You know what I mean? It's fun that these characters are just so gung-ho. And but like I said, I can't get over how creative this setup with the Sovereign is, of like this giant sort of like throne mixed with an arcade of like all these different units and the arcade culture crowding around the one guy. It's all so fun. And of course the 1-inch man is also very amusing. That, how we get introduced to Ego. It's just such a, like, it's an image that's straight out of like a 70s album cover, right? Like a bearded guy like waving on a spaceship.
Yep.
And then, of course, I love the semantics afterwards of them talking about the 1-inch man. Like, that's not how eyesight works. And then the spaceship coming down, and Drax is like, oh, I bet it's the 1-inch man. Oh, that's really fun. Also, connected to the Sovereign battle is I love the how physical also I love Drax throwing on the spacesuit, and that kind of being a foreshadowing to Yondu. That's a really effective touch. And I do really like Drax taking down the spaceship. It's like it gives new context to the dive spaceship. Yeah, it's great. It's great. And then, of course, I love how the crash landing is just absolutely great. Where, of course,
Baby Groot, put on your seatbelt.
Baby Groot eating the M&Ms is fantastic.
What was jelly beans? Was it M&Ms?
It might have been M&Ms. I don't know. But I love Gamora coming to Drax's rescue. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. That's great. Like we said, I love Drax just all stoked. Like, that was awesome. So just all the energy of that Sovereign Battle Dragon, from the creativity and the visuals and how the ships are being flown to how it's resolved, and then the aftermath. It's so fun and kinetic. I just really love it. Okay.
All right. Okay, for me, I guess if I had to boil it down to two moments, they're going to probably both be Star-Lord moments. Let's see. Of course, the kind of talked about a little bit already, was to kind of linger on it, the tumor reveal moment. And
Yes.
Because again, we have that beautiful kind of that eerie eternity bit where the eyes basically look at kind of what seems to be like infinite space of ego.
Mm-hmm.
And as again he's being lured to the dark side, so to speak, and it's kind of a really beautiful bit that Marvel just really keeps hitting upon this. They really stress the importance of. Basically, Marvel loves Mother's Day.
They really do. They really do.
But no, seriously though, it's this beautiful moment where at the instant, the second, very much kind of an Iron Man Civil War style here. It's the second that he mentions, it pained me to put that tumor in your mother's head. We just have that kind of that Jaws-like shot of, we zoom in on Quill's face, and then like the little eye effect disappears, and he's back to his senses, and he instantly shoots the ever-loving crap out of Ego with his blasters, bang bang bang, shooting them like crazy, and then even as David Hasselhoff tries to explain, you can't, like I've been everything you ever wanted. You do this, you do this to me. He just says, "You killed my mother." Because it always blows that he killed his mother, and it's based on all the fond feelings we have on the first one. Just kind of all comes to a forefront in that scene. So it's a really beautiful scene. Really intense, awesome scene. Then, of course, just continuing on from that, just it's when he turns into a batter, and it's, oh god, it's so sad when you hear Brandy play again. He breaks the I know he breaks the Sony Walkman. It's tragic. And you see, it's less the breaking of the Sony Walkman, it's just Star-Lord just being so devoid, like a tear shedding from his eye. The song that reminds him of his mother, just like, oh god, it pains you. So again, the last thing, another more light Star-Lord scene would be the tape gag.
Oh yeah.
So no, I'm not talking about the cassette tape. I'm talking about the literal Scotch tape. I'll use tape of any variety. Rocket needs to put tape on the Doomsday button, and he does not have any. So he asks.
This is like the best example of a gag from the trailer being expanded upon.
Yes, and by the way, real quick, I just want to mention I do love the jetpacks. That you put them on your back. It's kind of in the vein of Star-Lord's mask, which I really love. And I really hope that comes back too, because that got broken in this movie. I hope he finds another one or something. But he might just go forward with not having it. So again, we'll see. Anyway, so again, the scene goes like this. So off screen, while we're Star-Lord goes off and asks everyone if they have tape, so you can hear all of this going on too.
Yes.
Like, hey, Gamora, they have tape. Gamora. You get a sense like she's too busy. She's not going to answer him.
Of course, I like how it's kind of like a good callback to the opening with Baby Groot, where all this crazy action is going on, but we're not seeing any of it.
Yeah, he's asking Drax, and I love this. Drax was most hysterical. He's asking Drax, Scotch tape will work. Yeah. Basically, why did you ask?
That's great. Yeah.
Then he asked Yondu, and of course, asking. I think he asked Mantis too, just randomly. I can't remember if he asked Mantis enough. But he was asking. He asked Yondu, and then he comes back, and no tape. No one has any tape. Did you ask Nebula? This moment of pause goes by. Yeah. No, you did. You were lying to me. Well, I mean, she was Yondu. She would have had. She was standing right next to Yondu.
That's the bit that really kills you, right?
She was standing right next to Yondu. She would have. Yes, she would have heard. She would have said something. She was standing right next to us. I knew you were lying. Yeah. It's just them having. You were spending a lot of time on this. It's hysterical. It's perfect. These are the gags I live for in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Just they got it right on my. Anyway.
Okay, so let's transition into very quickly talking about the post-credit stuff we get.
Yeah, let's fire through a few of these. So, of course, we have 5 post-credit scenes with some fun stuff in between. So, one of me overall the post-credits. Let me say this: I think it's a good version of the Masters of the Skies post-credit scenes.
Oh God.
The Master of the Skies had like very similar to the way this looks. By the way, you got to wonder. James Gunn has been involved in some various not so good movies.
Oh no.
I'm just saying that the end credits of Master has a bunch of bubbles and stuff, and then you have like we have like cuts to like some essentially deleted scenes. Scenes. I'm just saying it seems very similar to Masters of the Skies, like a really good version of Masters of the Skies. It's really you're right. It plays like a really good short film for all the credits.
Yeah. I said, I love the yearbook stuff. Let's quickly talk about the stylistic stuff in the credits first, just really quick. Just
we have I Am Groot sporadically all throughout.
Yeah. Let's see. I love the bits of the characters dancing, like the little gifs of the characters dancing.
And the Grandmasters there, Jeff Goldblum's in.
Yes, I totally caught that. I was like, Goldblum, yay!
The Grandmaster. We didn't get the Collector, we got the Grandmaster. And
of course Howard the Duck tipping his martini.
Yep. Of course, the ending we had Hasselhoff saying, "We are Groot."
Oh my God.
Yeah, remember he sang the last song in the end credits. Guardians and basically the Guardians of the Galaxy theme, but play like a '70s disco vibe. Let's see. So aside from the dancing and that sort of stuff, I guess what we saw first one with Kraglin. Kraglin. It's not Yondu's fin because Yondu's fin was incinerated. He got another fin like Yondu's, and he's testing out the repaired arrow, and he's trying it out, and he accidentally. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
Okay. I can't get over this Dave Bautista shit.
Oh.
I don't know why it's hitting me like this. It's just so funny. Oh God. Oh, okay. Dave Bautista screaming bloody murder. I'm losing like Rocket when the eye was brought to him. Sorry, he accidentally impales Drax. He's okay though. The second one, Biggie.
I also love the freeze frame of Kraglin running away.
Very kind of 80s movie.
Yeah, it feels like an 80s album cover or something, or a video, as you said.
Blood rushed to my head when I was laughing that hard. I'm sorry. I'm all good now.
God.
So, second one's an important one. So basically, the first one's like a fun one, as we had to do the Marvel films. The second one's most likely a Guardians 3 tease. So essentially the original Guardians of the Galaxy lineup are formed.
Right.
And oddly enough, they are formed because of Yondu, who was their premier member of that team. So I mean, at least Yondu's involved in some capacity, and possibly Kraglin would fill the Yondu role if he is on that team. So if they ever did that, so.
I'm hoping that Kraglin's going to stick with the Guardians, though.
I would like that, but I'm just saying if we ever just wanted like complete verisimilitude, that would be a way of doing it. Like, hey, we have Kraglin, the new Yondu, on that team. Anyway, so the original Guardians lineup, just to kind of go through them. So we have the cool factor here. We have Stakaru, Stallone. We got Martin next. That's Michael Rosenbaum. He's like kind of the ice-faced guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have one line at the end just talking about Yondu's sacrifice, I believe, in the post-credits. And we have Charlie 27. I was amazed. I was wild about it. Yeah, Ving Rhames! Ving frickin' Rhames! As Charlie 27. Yeah. And we have, I want to say it's Aelita, if I'm saying that right. Aelita. She's Michelle Yeoh.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so she's there, kind of a sort of, I want to say, she's kind of a female equivalent to. Might have been the point. She's known for the team. I'm not familiar with the original Guardians team aside from Yondu, so I can't really tell you a lot of facts about him. Then we have a Krugar. Now Krugar ties into Doctor Strange because he has a sling ring.
Oh, okay.
You noticed that, right?
Yeah.
Doctor Strange symbols.
Yeah.
And then we have Mainframe, who, believe it or not, was voiced by Miley Cyrus.
Really? Oh God.
Yes, and just a decapitated head. So.
Okay. We have to keep the pace up, man.
All right, then we have a third one, important one. I already mentioned how much I love the music. The music plays here. It's just kind of like the Adam Warlock theme. Basically, I had that Thanos moment I had from the Avengers. I really enjoyed this. Just that moment where I kind of sat up in my chair in the theater. It's like, oh my God, they're gonna do it.
Well, this moment was satisfying for me because like I've been through a lot of these post-credit scenes where it's like a fan reaction that I don't know what they're talking about, but I actually know who Adam Warlock is, Dragon. So as soon as she mentioned Adam, I was like, oh, I'm one of the elite. I'm one of the people in the crowd who actually gets this reference. I'm like Captain America. I understand that reference.
Yeah, just that moment of just seeing as her all disheveled and stuff, just like, oh boy, something weird going on here with the Sovereign.
Which, by the way, like I said, great character arc for her, just kind of like going from
the Guardians have driven her crazy.
Right.
So again, just that when that music plays, so instantly you can build that kind of that intrigue up my spine, and I'm sitting up in the chair, and then they say him, and then we see this. The minute we see the sarcophagus, the fancy like sarcophagus cocoon thing, I'm looking, I was like, oh god. Yes, that's it. It's like when she says Adam, I feel like, oh god. And that James Gunn has confirmed they did retcon. He initially was the cocoon in the first movie is supposed to be Adam Warlock. They did it better. Right. They basically did it a better way. So they never, so they found a way of just doing it better. So it's a retcon deliberately. So this is Adam Warlock.
Okay, and then post
for the folks out there, essentially he connects to the Soul Gem, the last Infinity Gem. So Forrest Teenage, who takes to this one?
Yeah, Teenage Groot. That was the one that I was freaking out over, man. I
knew yes, you really wanted to see
this. Yes, they did it. Oh my god, yes, it's perfect. It's exactly how I envisioned it.
Was it?
Yes, it was very much so, Dragon. Very much so. Like the vines all over the place. That was kind of in my vision. The snide, like, I am Groot. Yeah.
Of course, I really love his story of being kind of that father figure. It's just really good for his arc in the post credits.
I love him calling out like the high tech like smartphone type device that Groot is playing on. I cannot wait to see that in. I assume we'll see Teenage Groot in Infinity War.
Well, we may or may not. We'll see.
We'll see.
Well, remember, this is not no. We wouldn't see Teenage. Well, we shouldn't see Teenage Groot because it'd be 2 years later.
Be 2 years after this.
Yeah.
So would Groot be back to be?
Well, okay. Well, I'm sorry. To be fair, we don't know how much time passes with the post-credit scene, so I don't know. Maybe who knows?
Because I'm just saying it'd be weird if we got a full-size Groot in Infinity War and then we got back to Guardians 3 and it was a teenage Groot.
Well, I'm sure they're not going to use teenage Groot in Guardians. If they do a full-grown Groot, I don't think they're going to backtrack like that. But
yeah, but I mean, I think that'd be a missed opportunity to not do a teenage Groot movie.
We'll see. Again, we don't know how much time passed when he turned into a teenager. There's no 6 months as infant, so I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, Teenage Groot was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth one, just very simple. Just the Watchers are done with.
Oh gee, you guys were my ride home. Oh no, I just love Brett Stan sounds.
Yeah, I just love Stan Lee in this big old comical spacesuit. It looks so adorable. It's like, oh, look at Stan. And again, I like the idea that he's just he's not a Watcher, but he works real closely with the Watchers, and he might have some sort of cosmic ability, so he can be everywhere at once. Who knows? Okay. Yeah, it's just they're kind of done with the stories for now, which may have an ominous tone to it. Let's just to address it. I mean, it might be like, hey, there's nothing to watch anymore because now the Infinity War's coming up.
Oh God, right?
I don't know. We'll see. I gotta wonder.
Like that.
You gotta wonder maybe maybe Stan will be this character in Infinity War again.
Like that's the reason that the other Watchers are walking away because they know that there's nothing but doom ahead.
Maybe, but then again, we had Black Panther before Infinity War, so that's the only thing that makes me raise an eyebrow to it.
Now, Black Panther, just so we have Thor Ragnarok and Spider-Man Homecoming, of course, this year.
So, okay, to be fair, yeah, you're right. We have those two this year. Then we have Black Panther's in the same year as Infinity War, is what I'm saying. So
is it going to be Black Panther and Infinity War, or is there going to be something else in between?
Nope, it's Black Panther, then Infinity War.
Okay, cool.
And Black Panther's going to be the first time Marvel's going to be doing one in February, like doing one in early.
Well, that's Deadpool territory right there.
Yes. Well, no, they switched the release dates because of that. Deadpool's coming out.
I know, but anyways.
Okay.
We don't have much time to get to spec, so can we just fire off like a few bullet points? I'm sorry, it's just I don't want this to go on for 3 hours. I really don't.
Oh, the first Guardians one went past 3 hours.
I don't care. I'm trying to be better.
Well, so can any
self-improvement? Yeah, I just don't want it to turn into like we have to wrap up in about 5 minutes.
All right, let me fire through a few in 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I think Adam Warlock will pursue the Guardians in Infinity War, and that's what's going to put him into the story. I think it's going to be the Sovereign are going to send Adam Warlock to go get the Guardians, and
I
that's
would
basically
love Nathan Fillion as Adam Warlock. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, again, with that deleted cameo, you never know. Maybe we could get him as Adam Warlock. The point is, Adam Warlock, I think, is going to be pursuing the Guardians in the beginning of Infinity War, and that's how we're intercut between the Avengers story and the Guardians story, and then they're going to meet.
I like that. I like having the Adam Warlock stuff be connected to the Avengers. That's very synergetic.
And here's how I think they're going to crash together. I think it's going to be basically while Adam Warlock's pursuing the Guardians, I'm going to misunderstand, of course. He will be it'll be interrupted abruptly by Thanos, kind of going after Warlock for the Soul Gem, and that'll be the last gem, which will then introduce the Guardians to the Avengers. Kind of now that Thanos is like the last, because and it's kind of a neat thing that bonds Warlock and Vision together. They both kind of are very gem related.
Right. Sure.
Okay, so let's see. Real quick, Volume 3. I think Adam Warlock will join the team in Volume 3.
Which he does in the Avengers is going to be kind of like the Black Panther setup for Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm just saying Adam Warlock he's a Guardian in the comics, so I figure that's where they're going to go with him. So I think Gamora and Nebula will, after this is all post Infinity War stuff. So I think after Infinity War, Adam Warlock's going to join the team. Gamora and Nebula, after kind of the big father showdown, they will have kind of post Infinity War either baggage or development, depending how bad things go with Thanos. We'll see. I think Gamora and Star-Lord will finally get together in the third one, because they're basically wrapping up our main Guardians team in the next in Volume 3.
Yeah, that's what we've heard. And then Guardians Volume 4 going forward is going to be like, presumably maybe the Stallone guys.
Exactly. So
or maybe like a mix, you know.
So the question is if Guardians 3 is going to be those guys taking over, or if it's going to be...
No, I definitely think Guardians 3 is going to be the end to the Peter Quill stuff. I think that's going to be the end of the Star-Lord arc.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying they might see the ending of that one being these new guys are taking over. I'm saying
Sure.
The point is, those, you're right, though. We might have those guys taking over in the future. We'll see.
So do you think we're going to get Teenage Groot in Volume 3? Because I would like that a lot.
Personally, I don't think so, but I don't think so.
Okay. I don't think they're going to handle Groot then.
Again, I've always pitched. I think Groot's going to be like kind of the later adolescent teenager in the beginning of Infinity War, and then I always pitch like during the heat of battle, some bad happens, and Groot kind of turns like kind of a Hulk-sized Groot.
Would that be like even bigger than he was in the first Guardians?
He has been known to get bigger than he was in the first Guardians.
Okay.
So I wouldn't put, and we'll see.
Interesting.
I think so. Again, there's a possibility that if our other Guardians, because they're starting off as thieves, if maybe they, because they said let's go steal some stuff, maybe it could be them versus our classic Guardians in Volume 3, perhaps. It's a possibility. Let's see. Okay, so I think definitely the 3 will have this happen. Last thing I really have to speculate on is I think 3 will have them return to Earth finally.
Yes, which is something that we've been building towards.
And perhaps when the Guardians get to Earth, we'll kind of break it down. There's like Star-Lord and Gamora will kind of have it's kind of the relationship developing and kind of adjusting back into the Earth lifestyle, mainly for Star-Lord's story, and she'll be there to support him. I think Rocket and Groot are going to be dealing with the superhero culture of the MCU.
Oh, that'll be fantastic.
I think Drax and Mantis will have, just, again, a bludgeoning a relationship going on, and also, they'll be dealing with most of the mundanity of like, hey, two aliens just kind of walking around, kind of getting to know each other. They never give them funny looks.
Yeah, and also just with the Avengers crossover stuff, I've said it before, I'll say it again, Hulk versus Groot absolutely has to happen.
Again, I expect that in Infinity War. That's what I'm saying. That's maybe where we're might be getting a Groot change in size. Again, like you brought up like whole like a teenage kind of outburst would turn like motivate the next transformation. Let's see. Also, in terms of, like, I would love to see Rocket Raccoon just in the third one. Like he'd have like Tony Stark could have a cameo and it'd just be like like a bugging Tony Stark.
Wait. I have it.
I know he's up there.
Hold on.
He said I could go to his lab.
So you know how Rocket has this affinity for stealing people's body parts?
Oh, God.
What if he stole Tony's arc reactor?
Well, Tony doesn't have an arc reactor anymore.
God damn it, you take the fun out of everything.
It'd be cool.
Is there anything else that he could steal from Tony that would be like the equivalent of that?
An Iron Man suit. Rocky Raccoon flying around in an Iron Man suit.
Okay, yeah, that'd be wonderful. Okay, I have one piece of speculation and one piece of speculation.
You're supposed to remind me about something, but we don't have time to speculate, so I guess we're going to forget about it.
Okay, so my piece of speculation is Rocket's arc in Volume 3. I very much think that Rocket's arc in Volume 3 is going to be away from the other main Guardians. I think he's going off on his own, possibly to find his family. The reason I think that is just based on the ending shot, where not only do we get, of course, that beautiful shot of him with the tears in his eyes, but Dragon, if you listen closely, the line in the shot is, "I know I have to go away." And to me, what that represents for Rocket's character going forward is, you know, he was kind of like the unruly teenager for a lot of this movie who's finally found his maturity, and he kind of has to leave the nest. Does that make any sense to you, or am I just reading way too much into it based on the song lyric?
I think, here's the thing, I think you're half right. I think you're reading into the song lyric, but I think on the whole, though, I think you're in the right direction. I think while I am convinced personally that Volume 3 is going to be all kind of closure for the Guardians, like all around. I think if we're going to follow one character, I think logically it would be Rocket. I'm saying if we have to follow one, but I think on the whole, though, we're going to be closing the loop on everyone and going to Earth. But again, I think Rocket will be a main focus of the third one.
Okay, and that's all I got for spec.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got to. So,
all right, final thoughts. Let me get to final thoughts really quick. I don't really have much. I just want to say again, I freaking love this series. I love what James Gunn brings to it. I am so thankful to Marvel that they let James Gunn be as creative as he is with it. I understand the criticisms with this movie, I really do, but just for me personally, since the first film holds such a special place in my heart, and I feel like this one just really got it down. This is just a great sequel. Dragon, granted, I really do need to rewatch the first one because it's been a couple years to really say definitively whether I like Volume 1 or Volume 2 better. But I gotta say, I think Volume 1 and Volume 2 are like this is Volume 1 and Volume 2. And then this is like Iron Man 3, which is like number 3 on my rankings of MCU movies. Like it's there's a considerable gap between how much I love the Guardians of the Galaxy films and then how much I enjoy the rest of the MCU movies. The rest of the MCU movies I'm kind of a casual fan of. Guardians of the Galaxy is something that I'm a hardcore like nut for at this point in time. I love this series. I love this film. I think it is. I think over time, people are certainly going to look back with more reverence on this than they did with, you know, let's say Iron Man 2 or Thor: The Dark World. I certainly don't think this is a sequel that's in that sort of like disappointing territory. I think this is a beautiful movie. It has an incredibly powerful ending. It has just a fantastic amount of character stuff and a lot of humor in between. And I love the crap of that. I could watch it 10 more times. All right.
Okay. I had a great time with this. A lot of fun. It's not even the movie, so it's just kind of the classic thing of a lot of times you like the original more. So I like the first one more, but if I had to pick, I'd probably pick the first one because I like the memories attached to it. Again, I think things just like it fits into that MacGuffin plot point, but again, the MacGuffin thing, I think just it's still a strong backbone to kind of go with for the film. I just might like it. Like honestly, with the Groot opening for this, it kind of boils down to the opening. My favorite moment of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie is the Star-Lord "Come and Get Your Love Now" from the opening credits of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That's my favorite part of that movie. And you look at this. This is fun. This is fun. We're getting some good stuff, but. I don't think it still holds a candle to kind of that first experience with that first movie. It's kind of it's a taste thing. It's just it's where I'm coming down. If I had to pick, first one I had a preference. I love the development and the characters of Volume 2. Just and the other thing that makes one a little bit over this one, just by a little though, is I think the execution in places could have been fine tuned. Again, it's not bad. Just be fine tuned to measure up fully to the first one. That's really where I'm at. It's by a very slim margin. This one isn't as good, isn't as perfect as the first one in my eyes, but it's really good though.
Okay. Well, thank you all for powering through this marathon of a podcast. And Dragon, do you have any other random hyperbolic red letter media style nonsense you want to throw this movie's way to end it out?
We are Groot!
We are Groot! David Hasselhoff! Yeah!